Justin Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network, 107.5 Game app, and at the Game TV radio on YouTube.
Good morning, early game crew. Can you hear it? Can you hear it now? Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
I like it.
Today's the day.
I like it.
Today is the day that we get 16 games over the course of about 12 hours, starting at noon today when Ohio State and TCU tip off. Oh,
that one gets fired too, but that's not the one. It's not it.
But it gets me going.
That one gets us going, but that's the NBA. We ain't got there yet.
Now, some of these players will play in the NBA.
They will get to the NBA. That is good.
I just love Round Ball Rock.
Round Ball Rock is the deal.
All I can hear of those is the SNL skit of basketball. Give me the ball because
so
I'm
good.
gonna dunk it. Now, a lot of these guys, some of these guys that'll be playing today are going to be in the NBA. You watch Duke play later today. Cam Boozer's going to be in the NBA.
But that's the thing. That's not the fun part of the tournament.
It's about those guys getting beat.
It's about the guys that are going to play in the NBA getting beat. It's about the guys who we know will never play in the NBA making a name for themselves. It's about all of those dudes who you've never heard of until now showing up on the scene.
Names that you never thought you would hear that throughout the course of, November, December, January, February. It's a little over 4 months of college basketball season. You might not have heard their name until they drop 30 on somebody and spoil your bracket.
Now, are you fully hydrated? Are you fully prepared? Because I know this is your moment.
Oh, this is it. Yeah, I was up later than I normally am last night watching Miami, Ohio play. Which, buddy, they shot the lights out. That was so much fun.
Can I start with a philosophical question?
Yes, I'll give you a philosophical answer.
They played, they were in. They won the first four. Cool. They're going to be an 11th seed. However, they only lost one game this year, correct?
Correct.
Are they a Cinderella?
Yeah, I think they're like a season-long Cinderella. Now, George Mason, if I recall correctly, in 2006 when they went to the Final Four, maybe one of the greatest Cinderellas of all time, got in as an at-large. They did not win their conference tournament. I think if I recall correctly, it took a little bit of magic from the NCAA tournament selection committee to allow them to get into to even be in the first place. And they shocked the world, went to a Final Four because they were incredible in that regular season. And then, but just nobody, especially me. I mean, at that time, I'm 10 or 11 years old. Not very familiar with George Mason's game. I'm kind of like Shaq, where I was unfamiliar with your game. Mm-hmm. That was me. Funny enough, and that year, they were 27-8 overall, and they were the regular season champ in the CAA, but got beat in the tournament that year. So had to get a little bit of help from the selection committee. It might have been one of the last ones in. They lost in the second round of their conference tournament, or the championship, rather, to Hofstra. So they didn't even get the at-large bid.
Second philosophical question. When is the drop-dead time for brackets?
It must be submitted before tip-off of the first game today.
Which is?
12:15.
12:15.
Ohio State and TCU.
12:15, drop-dead. Brackets must be in.
I will be I'll be discussing that PSA all day today. So if you haven't done it and you want to join the bracket pool, today you have to do it before noon today. The game starts at 12:15, but I'm telling you noon because I'm going to give you a deadline 15 minutes before the actual deadline.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if you're habitually 1 or 2 minutes behind in anything, you will still make it. But have it in before noon because that is when ESPN, CBS, whatever thing you do online locked up. And if I see anyone filling out a paper bracket after 12:15, I will consider it illegitimate.
Timestamp.
Mm-hmm. Got to timestamp it every single time.
You're done, Preston?
No, that's why I'm asking. I'm asking for the class.
Yeah, right, yeah. He's looking over at some of the other kids in the back of the class who have not done the assignment. Like, what time today is that due?
11:59 p.m. 11:59 a.m. Sir, you must have it completed.
Must be in.
Must hit submit before 11:59 a.m. before Professor Campbell makes it an ineligible assignment.
That's right. But before everybody has to turn in what you got. If it's not done, turn in what you got, and you'll be graded with what you got.
Oh, I remember hearing that phrase. Yep.
Oh,
As much as you can.
no one liked hearing that.
No.
Especially me. I was a slow worker. Nothing made me sweat more in my adolescence than taking the ACT and hearing like the 5-minute warning or whatever, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's time to Christmas tree it. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
See.
You just brought up some trauma. That happened to me on one test, and I just said, I quit.
You just said,
I should not have done that, kids, because I was very close to passing. If I just would have finished the test, I would have passed. If I would have Christmas treed it, I would have passed. But I was so frustrated. I was like,
forget this.
Lesson learned. Don't do that, kids. Finish the test.
Big lesson learned. And we'll get to the struggles of the baseball team here in just a second. But I did want to touch on.
Do we have to?
Do we have?
Can we Christmas tree that?
Can we, you know what? Maybe we can't Christmas tree that. If that by you mean putting ornaments on it, then we certainly can.
No. It's what we get paid to do. We got to
It
take on the
is.
big ones.
It is, and we'll get to it. And I want to stall as much as possible by mentioning that Miami, Ohio hit 16 threes last night. If you didn't watch it, it was so much fun. They were just chucking it. So to give you an idea, they shot 23 shots from two. They shot 41 threes last night.
Now, is that typical for them?
They do shoot a lot of threes, but usually their average is about 45% of their shots being threes. And math, not my strong suit. Out of the 64 shots they took last night, 41 were threes. So we're probably like, what, in that 66% range? As you round it to 2/3 being threes last night. That was their whole ordeal. And, buddy, they went 1.34 points per possession against SMU. Now, is SMU good? They're good enough to get in a really bad bubble, but they are incredibly talented. Like, Boopy Miller is, one of the more exciting point guards in the country to watch. They did a pretty decent job defensively on him, and they have a couple of guys on that team that are really good. Now, their second best player, B.J. Edwards, didn't play, but you know what? I don't care.
Should Rick Barnes and them boys be a little nervous?
They better guard that three-point line.
Okay.
You better close out the shooters, run them off. Now, let's think about Tennessee. If I'm Tennessee, I'm getting overly aggressive on closeouts, and I'm funneling all those guys into the middle of the floor. Now, that's one thing that Miami, Ohio does really well is they play 5 out. So they're going to draw your big men away from the basket. So what I would do is I would just tell, my help defenders be aggressive on closeouts. And if I'm telling my bigs, say, hey, if you can bait them to try taking one of the basket, go up there and try to block some shots.
As we're talking about this, we're talking about first-round games, the excitement. I can't help but think about the vibe that was in this city 2 years ago when we were about to play Oregon. Just the overall, public establishments were buzzing. Mm-hmm. People were trying ways to get off of work. There was no work being done.
Because the game was played at 3:30.
It was right at it was a middle of the day game, and just can we get back to this? Because it's so much fun to be in the conversation. Now, it's fun to have the conversation regardless.
Oh, for sure.
But for us to be in the conversation was so much fun.
It's so much different at that point in time. Now, I will say, at the end of the second hour, there is going to be one player that is playing tomorrow in one of these games that I think is a legitimate target for this South Carolina team of the transfer portal that you must watch.
Okay.
I'm assembling.
That'll get me in.
Next week, I should have it finished. I am assembling my entire list of specific players.
Wish list.
I would like to see this Gamecock team go after in the portal. Like a very specific list. And I'm not going to get, I'm not going to go on there and be like, Braden Smith, Purdue. No, you're not. A, I don't think he has eligibility. B, it's the all-time. He's 20-something assists away from being the all-time assist leader in the history of the NCAA. I'm keeping it realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it realistic. Going to keep it as I know. I think you can get some of whom have local ties. So there's going to be a more comprehensive list out. But there is one player that is playing in a game tomorrow. In a game otherwise you might not be interested in. I'll tell you who that is at 7:45. But all the excitement today, again, if you haven't done it already, submit your brackets. If you don't get it in by noon, ESPN and CBS are tougher graders than I. They will shut
It's
it down.
over.
My sister last year, she submitted or she filled the bracket out but didn't click submit. And then she went to go check her bracket after the first couple of games and she goes, why do I still have 0 points? I got Creighton over Louisville. She texted me that, and I was like, oh, it's showing you didn't submit it. Bummer. Absolute bummer. Heartbreak. She couldn't win again. She's won our family bracket pool like 5 times, and she does not watch basketball. It's insane. So that is the deadline today at noon. Now, we said we'd talk a little about this baseball team.
Let's do it.
We're going to do it. Rip the Band-Aid off. We're going to do it. But I'm going to do so by playing some sound from yesterday because Paul Mainieri did talk after the very unfortunate loss to Charlotte. Now, one where, there was just not a lot of people in the stands for it in a midweek game against Charlotte where it was cold. And I certainly don't blame anybody for not being incredibly excited to go out there and watch them play in that cold weather, especially the way they have been playing. But I think Paul Mainieri really summed up how a lot of people are feeling. Let's cut 8 from yesterday, Jen. I just want you to hear the kind of the exhaust in the voice of one Coach Mainieri.
I don't really have much to say tonight. 13 free passes, 5 errors, about tells it all that I need to say.
All right, summed it up.
Thanks, Paul. We got that.
Sums it up.
Unfortunately, we need you to say more, because I could say that.
Unfortunately, we're going to need you to say more to that team.
Because I could look at the box score and say that. Matter of fact, I did say that. And so we need you to say a little more. Does Paul have anything else to say?
He did. So we talked about those free passes. Even worse with the leadoff hitter in each inning. Maybe a little important. This week cut 10 from yesterday, Jen.
Yeah,
some of that.
I agree. Every inning was like torture. For us when we were in the dugout. I mean, when we were on defense. A lot of leadoff hitters got on base. They put a lot of pressure on us. They executed at least 1, if not 2, hit and runs, and you give them credit for that. But we gave them opportunities to do that by allowing leadoff hitters to get on base. I mean, 13 free passes. Wow, that's a lot. It's a lot to overcome.
Same.
Wow.
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 Owen Wilson in the press conference.
Wow. I know we're talking Gamecock baseball here, but he talked about hit and run, and I must go back to the World Baseball Classic because Venezuela, in the top of the 9th, stole a base and did a hit and run. I was like, oh, my God.
That's how you small
They're doing
ball
it.
That's how you small ball
They are
it.
doing it. They stole a second base, hit a double, bring them in. I was like, wow, that's baseball.
It's beautiful when you see it executed. And Charlotte executed it against South Carolina.
Yeah.
You want to be the one executing the cool stuff.
Yeah.
Executing the cool hit and runs.
And also, here's the thing. You can look at the other team's offensive strategy and say it's working, and you can try that.
Yeah.
We can try getting our leadoff hitters on base by being maybe a little more patient at the plate, taking a few more pitches, working the count, doing a lot of those things. Again, I am not baseball expert. I do love baseball, but I'm not baseball expert. But however, if you see something working for the other side, you can try it. Because when your stuff's not working, it's just,
and it goes back to kind of the whack-a-mole nature of this season where you think you might have one thing fixed, like you improved one thing because they did hit the ball better. They drew 7 walks on their own, and they were able to get, 9 hits on the afternoon too. And it's like, okay, that's better. That's better because the bats were a total no-show against Florida. They show up a little bit against Charlotte. Will Craddock's bat definitely showed up. Patrick Evans, as your leadoff, didn't have a bad day at the office. Drew 2 walks and also was 1 for 3, scored a couple runs. Like, that's an improvement. That's good. But then you give up 13 free passes and you commit 5 errors. And that's the summary of this year's team. I think if you want to sum up what the 2026 season has been, outside of a lot of just the other regular frustration, how this team, if you want to just sum up how they've been losing games, it's like the winner of the Best Picture in the Oscars. It's one battle after another.
it's correct.
All of whom have been very, very different. But coming up next, though, spring practice updates. Shane Beamer joined the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour just a few days ago, and he shared with Tyler and the crew what has stood out at spring practice so far. We'll hear from Coach Beamer coming up next.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Go to 1075thegame.com and check out our sweet deals, like $50 worth of great eats from Grill Marks for just $25 and a 6-month membership to the YMCA for half price. It's all at 1075thegame.com. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
All right, y'all, this is it. Today's the day we've been telling you about. We said spring was coming. Well, it's not quite officially spring yet, but the madness is here, and you need to have your outdoor setup ready with the folks from Integrated Media. They could have you set up for all of the games that are going to be on in the next couple of days. Samsung Terrace TVs, Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music, Wi-Fi that works indoor and outdoor, so you can have all of these games playing on all your devices, your iPad, your laptop, your phone. They can be all playing, no lag time, because the folks from Integrated Media got you hooked up. You can control all of those devices from just one remote. However you want to do it, you can get it done with the folks from Integrated Media. From home theater setup to adjusting your thermostat or monitoring your security system from your cell phone, Integrated Media is who you need to call. So call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or you can reach them online at integratedmediainc.com.
Plus tax tags and title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. The all-new JT's Kia is officially open with their new state-of-the-art showroom designed to make your buying experience fast, friendly, and hassle-free. Get grand opening 0% financing for 60 months on new Kias. Put no money down and JT's million-mile warranty. Plus savings up to 10 grand off new Kias and up to 5 grand over book value for your trade. Get to JT's Kia today, I-77 at Killian Road or Greystone Boulevard.
Bill Gunner here for Corley Pool Solutions. Pool season is upon us. That's right. It's time to make sure your pool is maintained and ready to use. And you know who is the absolute best in the Midlands? Tracy Corley and Corley Pool Solutions. With their flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals, you know exactly what you are paying for. So if you're tired of maintaining your pool by yourself, call the pros. Call Corley Pool Solutions. 803-445-8109. Line up your maintenance today.
Are you a small business owner, a church, or other entity in need of a new HVAC system? AAA Heating and Air has exciting news for you. AAA Heating and Air now offers financing to qualified organizations to aid them in installing a new light commercial HVAC system. It's as easy as calling 803-677-1500 for a quote or finding them online at callAAAtoday.com. Tell them Jay Phillips with 1075 sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Hey guys, Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central here to make sure your business and property parking lots are kept available from any unwanted cars taking up your spots with Schroeder's Towing. For instance, you're coming in hot to the game studios for your show and you park next door in an unauthorized lot with signage that was provided for free from Schroeder's Towing. Next thing you know, the show is in the books and your car is out of the lot. It really is that simple. That's a true story. Call Schroeder's today and keep those unwanted cars out of your lots. Online at schroederstowing.net.
Just dial pound 250 and use the keyword tow truck.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Visit CordellCordell.com.
1201 Main Street, Columbia. Are you stuck staring at your W-2? Are tax refund worries holding you back? You probably have FOMO, the fear of messing up. The fix? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. It's time to overcome your fear of messing up and get your taxes done right. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
It's the Game Network Traffic Report from the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Center. Broken down and need a tow or even free signage for your lot? Dial pound 250 and use keyword tow truck today.
Things looking pretty good this morning on the highways. And weather-wise, it also is looking good. 66 will be our high today. Tomorrow it's up to 75. Low 80s for the remainder of the weekend. So we will certainly enjoy that. We might even keep the 80s into Monday. But right now we have fair skies and it is 36 on 107.5 The Game.
Early Game with former Gamecock Preston Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network, 107.5 Game app, and the Game TV radio on YouTube.
Before we hear from Coach Beamer about the progress in spring practice so far, we will go out to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Our pal Taylor wants to weigh in this morning. Good morning, Taylor. Welcome back to the early game, my friend.
Hey, how you guys doing? I'm the one that tweeted out that Garnet transfusion thing. I think we all need like a uplifting something, man. It's been rough the past couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlotte game, they scored the runs. Monty Lee did his thing. He coached them up, but I tell you, the pitching has been that was an issue, and I like how Paul Maneri just said, look at the box score, because you can't commit 5 errors. I wouldn't say I'm a baseball expert, but I know a lot about baseball. I score games, I call games for CIU, but baseball, man, if you have all those errors, you're just not gonna be able to do anything. And I tell you, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've been a Gamecock fan my whole life, and I don't know if I'll go to a game this year.
I certainly wouldn't blame you if you didn't, if you chose not to. Wouldn't blame you at all. Yeah, Taylor, appreciate the call, man. Taylor was the one with the tweet that, asked the Garnet transfusion. I said, I don't know if we are medically qualified to be able to do that, but that has not stopped me from doing things I'm not qualified to do all the time. Has never stopped me before. So sign up. We will have, machines that we could do to transfuse a little Garnet into your spirit, into your soul. We'll try our best. But I think what Taylor's getting at, too, is kind of the nature of this season, which may be the most frustrating part, is it's not like it's just one thing that's killed you all year long. You can't seemingly get 2 different issues rectified in the same game. Even in some of the wins, you haven't been able to get some of the same issues that you've had rectified.
I think you hit it on the head, one battle after another. I think that is apropos for what the season is, because when you're working on something during practice, you only have a finite amount of time to work on something.
Mm-hmm.
And if this day we're going to work on fielding, and we spend all our time working on fielding or certain situations in the field. Well, now that time takes away from the time where you can work on hitting. And then all of a sudden you get the fielding right, then our fielding slips away. Or if now we can't spend that time because now we got to work on live pitching or whatever the case is. And you can't be working on everything because you end up doing nothing. And you kind of end up in these spots where you're not necessarily improving on something. So, yeah, I think my threading philosophy is if you have to work on too many, if it has all this stuff wrong, it's a bad car. I keep coming back to it, man. If the transmission breaks down one day, then the next day it's the timing belts, and then it's the brakes. You got a bad car, man, and I don't know if you'd be safe on the road with that.
And it's really expensive.
Yes.
And I think it was Matt Brown who FOIA'd everybody. Ooh. Everybody who is FOIA-able, I'm going to make up a word, in terms of how much teams spent, not just on the roster, but just like their overall spending budget for college baseball. And Carolina was top 10.
Yeah, and we wasn't even the purpose. We kind of got caught
astray.
Yeah, we caught astray. We were not the ones who were getting the information or investigation done on us. We just happened to show up in the paperwork, and so that was like, oh no, we're found.
This isn't good. that makes the struggles this year even worse.
Yeah. Usually when you're doing something wrong, you never get caught on your own thing. It's usually some strange circumstance that gets you caught.
Is it like when you're speeding and the person ahead of you is going faster, and so you think you're safe, but the police officer catches you and you're the one that gets pulled over? Like, it wasn't just me.
And you tried to tell them that, and they're like, don't care.
Don't care.
You're still speeding.
Yeah, you still were.
Yeah.
We caught you. Other person just got lucky.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stray, I guess, that South Carolina baseball caught in Matt Brown's FOIA conquests that he frequently goes on. But for the football team this year, they certainly spent some money to try to get themselves back into contention, trying to bounce back from a 4-8 season. It could be easy for spirits to be a little low, but that's what the head coach is for. That's what the money for the head coach is for, right? Channeling Don Draper again, that's what the money's for. And we're starting anew. Spring practice has started. 2025 is history. 2026 is the mystery. And this is Coach Beamer, who sat down with Tyler Head and the fellas from Gamecock Central Takeover Hour Tuesday over at the football facility. What has stood out from spring practice so far? As we cut 2 from yesterday, Jen, this is what Shane had to say about that.
Yeah, great question. 3 days, probably just how efficient our guys have been on the field, with it being so many new faces and it being only the first 3 practices of spring, meaning they're practicing the right way. You don't see a lot of bodies on the ground. You know, as a coach, you're always out there yelling, stay up, because you don't want people falling on each other's legs and ankles. And we've practiced the right way. You know, before I came down here, was just putting together, you know, everything for our team meeting tomorrow morning before practice. And I've got a lot of examples to show of our guys practicing the right way. And that's what I really like, because it's a lot of guys that maybe you did things one way at another school before you came here, and you don't know quite how we do things here at Carolina in practice, because there's some subtle differences. But it excites me because our guys have, you know, hit the ground running. They look very efficient. It doesn't look like day 1, day 2, day 3. And then it's a very hungry group. And then the things that have stood out is just, in addition to that, we're, you know, we got a long ways to go, but physically we're a good-looking team. We've got size, we've got athleticism, we've got speed. You watch our freshman defensive backs. You look at our receiving core, some good-looking, you know, physical bodies out there that I'm excited about continuing to work with.
Fan of the good-looking physical bodies. Always a plus.
Always a plus. Always a good thing, regardless.
You're listening to that, I'm like, thanks, Coach. Wow, I worked really hard on this. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
It's some more than others. I remember when I went out to spring practice, whenever the first year Hayden Hurst was here.
Okay.
Garnet Thor. And I was like, who's that?
Who's that guy?
Him. Must play ball, lot, strong, fast.
Red-haired Fabio over there. Who is that? What's his name?
That guy is going to be good. I don't know who he is, but he's going to be good, because you can see it.
But he didn't start out as a football player.
That's correct.
So, I mean, and that's what's even more magical is, like, you saw that, but knowing that really his background wasn't football at all, but he just had that.
I can only imagine what he looked like on a baseball field, because I would have really been like, who's that? Who's that?
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, it was amazing. I was like, that guy's going to be good. And I was like, and obviously he was. But, yeah, you want to look the part physically. But Shane brought up a really good point about spring practice being learning how to practice. Where are the drills? What's the drills? Where are we supposed to be during this period? When do we do special teams? All these questions, little things that have to be answered in order to get your team to even start practicing. And you kind of have to go over and over those things. And the less time you have to spend on that, just like the baseball conversation, the more time you can spend on actually practicing. So the less time you learning about practice, you can spend more time practicing. The word is that you'll get better.
I don't know if we have any wooden objects around here, but he did say we're doing really well at not staying on the ground, getting up, not falling on legs, things like that. If you can find any piece of wood around you, knock on it, because we've already had injury storylines before spring practice even started. If we could avoid any of that throughout the course of the spring, it's a win.
That was the biggest adjustment you find from high school to college, is learning how to practice and staying off the ground. They will yell bloody murder at you if you fall, because that's when Coach Strong, hey, athletes don't go to the ground. So, yeah, you stay off the ground as much as possible during practice. The only time you should be going to the ground is to tackle somebody.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And Please, no additional injuries. But coming up next, that was Shane's overall view of what he's seen in practice so far. How is the offense adjusting to a new scheme with a new offensive coordinator and a bevy of new position coaches? We'll get Shane's thought on the new coaches and what they've been able to bring to the table and how the offense is looking next year in the early game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
Pressing it for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. If the glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with your insurance to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work. It does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to you and take care of the job for you. Now, if you're at home, you're looking to increase the value of your home, Absolute Glass can take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Sponsored by eBay.
So I was on eBay because I'm absolutely obsessed
with this rare hologram trading card. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. eBay had it. They even had
the perfect parts that fit my car.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay.
There's people that go their whole education without having an African-American teacher. So when I received my lottery-funded life scholarship, I knew I wanted to choose a school that had the Call Me Mr. program. Their mission is to recruit and retain teachers to be those role models for students in underserved areas. And that's what I want to do for my students.
More role models means a better South Carolina. And a better South Carolina means a better you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Plus tax tags and title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. The all-new JT's Kia is officially open with their new state-of-the-art showroom designed to make your buying experience fast, friendly, and hassle-free. Get grand opening 0% financing for 60 months on new Kias. Put no money down and JT's million-mile warranty. Plus savings up to 10 grand off new Kias and up to 5 grand over book value for your trade. Get to JT's Kia today, I-77 at Killian Road or Greystone Boulevard.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because Rhino Shield is backed by a 25-year warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call at 833-RHINO-99. Call now and receive 15% off the regular price. Or go to RhinoShieldCarolina.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
Call now, 833-RHINO-99 for your 15% off. Or go to RhinoShieldCarolina.com.
Hey, this is Jen Jensen for CHW Cabinetry. My family is using CHW Cabinetry, and they are fantastic to work with. They make sure you're satisfied with every step of the process. Not only do their photorealistic renderings show exactly what your new space will look like, their job site guarantees everyone is on the same page, literally. Experience the CHW difference for yourself. Go to chwcabinetry.com to see more, or call them at 803-520-6837, and be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Powered by Integrated Media, the Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia, the Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. It's the Game Network Traffic Report from the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Center. Broken down and need a tow or even free signage for your lot? Dial pound 250 and use keyword tow truck today.
And no accidents to speak of right now. Great news there. And the forecast, it's looking better each and every day. 66 for the high today, 75 tomorrow, 82 on Saturday, but still need something to bundle up with this morning to get started. 36 right now on 107.5 The Game.
Former Gamecock Preston Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network, 107.5 Game app, and the Game TV radio on YouTube.
A lot of changes with this spring practice. Looks a little different, not just from a player perspective, as it's going to most seasons in college football, but from a coaching staff perspective. We have a new offensive coordinator, so an entirely new offensive scheme, a new running backs coach, new offensive line coach. Things are a little different. But how's the team adjusting to that so far? Now, let's be cut 5 from yesterday, Jen, when Shane Beamer sat down with Tyler and the crew from GC. He shared his thoughts on how they are adjusting so far and the excitement from the players in this new offense.
It's exciting, there's an energy, like I said a minute ago, out there on the practice field. Love what Kendall's brought. He's got his system, and it's new to a lot of people. There's reasons for everything. There's answers to everything. He knows what he wants it to look like. He knows what it's supposed to look like, and he's got a system to get that done, which is great. And our players have enjoyed it. It's are we a million miles an hour trying to run 200 plays a game? Not necessarily, but we're utilizing tempo, which we've done in the past. But that's been good for our defense to be able to practice against that a little bit more in practice, forcing them to get lined up, see who really knows their stuff and doesn't know their stuff. And then Kendall's just got a great, confidence and swagger, or whatever you want to call it, to himself, which, I saw that when I was working for Steve Spurrier, how teams can take on the personality of their coach and just that confidence and swagger that Coach Spurrier had as a head coach here. And it's very much, I think, similar with the defense and Clayton White. And hopefully will be the same with Kendall Briles and what he's doing from an offensive standpoint. Our offense taking on his personality from a confidence, swagger standpoint.
3 different things there that really stood out. One, Kendall Briles has his own system, which I like, and that's a reason why you bring somebody like that in.
Check.
Who has a very specific vision and a very specific idea for how this offense is going to go. Didn't feel like we had that at any point last year on the offensive side of the football. 2, tempo being the tester. Now, he didn't call it the tester. I'm calling it the tester because he was saying that is how you found out which, offensive linemen, which players knew their stuff, is when you have to line up quickly and be able to go into the next play. I think tempo is not only good just for the X's and O's aspect of what you're going to do on a football field, but also testing these guys to find out what it is they actually know about this offense early on, see who's been doing their homework, be able to scope it out a little bit, weed out who the best studiers are on this football team, and then lastly, the swagger.
Mm-hmm.
And a team carrying the personality of their coach. And that Kendall has a little bit of that is a plus. because I don't think anybody would have accused Mike Shula of being the most charismatic. And if we want to buy into the concept of teams taking on the personality of the coach, and we just do the offensive coordinator, I think last year it was a pretty good match of personality and performance.
Yeah, because last year what we consistently heard out of Mike Shula was, well, this is what we want to do. This is what we're going to try to do. This is what you should do in this situation. And I imagine the message from Kendall is, this is what we're doing. This is how I do it. I don't do it like that. That's not how we do things around here. And that's a very different message to the team when you're trying to take on the personality of the coach. Bill Burr, one of my favorite comedians, has this bit or this joke about how his dog was so uptight and he couldn't figure out why his dog, Bill Burr, if you know who he is, a ranting comedian, couldn't figure out why his dog was just and the trainer goes, "Sir, have you looked at yourself?" And he's like, "Oh, that's why my dog is like that." And I think there's something to that where, yeah, you spend so much time around these coaches, you do take on their mannerisms, you take on their style, you take on their affect, and all of those things are happening. And if your coach doesn't have it, it's hard to believe in them. And I mean, we're not having that conversation right now, but I think we could kind of swing that thing towards the baseball conversation.
Mm-hmm.
When the best your coach can say is, wow. I don't know if I can really get into that. Same thing we talked about with the World Baseball Classic. If Aaron Judge is your guy and he's up there saying, "Hey guys, we're gonna give it the old college try," I don't know, man. And so
you need a Sean Elliott.
You need something there. Right. And it can come in all forms. It can be in a Sean Elliott. It can be in a Spurrier. It can be however, but there has to be some identity formed from the top, and I think you're hearing a lot of that with Kendall.
You want to hear the wildest pop culture crossover metaphor that I could possibly come up with this?
I'm listening.
Mike Shula was Luke Skywalker talking to Yoda, and Shane Beamer was like being Yoda saying, "Do or do not, there is no try." Meanwhile, Kendall Briles is Montel Jordan. He's telling you that this is how we do.
I like it. I like it. You brought it all together. This is how we run tempo.
This is how we huddle. We don't. This is how we huddle. Yeah, it's a significantly different change of pace.
Mike Shula's version was, "This is how we would like to do it." This is how we would like to try it.
Metaphorically speaking,
doesn't quite bang the same.
This is how offensive coordinators normally do it.
Not a banger.
No, it doesn't fit the same. And then you need somebody to come in the studio, a good producer, and say, okay, we got the beat down. We got a lot of things down. But how about we rephrase this a little bit? Yeah. And then that's when Kendall Briles comes in and is like, no, this is how we do it.
This is how we do it.
This is how it's supposed to be. But all of that is stuff that, is it going to translate to wins right now on March 19th? No. But is it something that I think will prepare you a lot more for the season to have this much of a kind of a boot camp into the offense? I think is very beneficial, which makes me actually excited to see how it's going to look on a football field, right? I think last year we were hoping that it was at least a little bit of a continuation of what Dow did. And that's one of the reasons why you elevate somebody inside the building, is because you liked how you ended the season. You would like to continue doing that into the next year, and it never really carried over. I think there's at least an element of intrigue that is going to make them interesting going into this next season once we get closer to it and actually really start breaking things down. I think this offense is something that is now a really good curiosity because of what we're hearing in spring in terms of tempo's different, players like it, all of this stuff, the personality of the head coach, all of this type of stuff, I think actually is going to be able to benefit this team. And it's at least piquing my curiosity, which is not hard to do. I'm fascinated in a lot of things. I'm a man of many interests, but it's certainly piquing my curiosity. Well, all the stuff that you heard from Shane Beamer was while he was at Pro Day. And Brandon Cisse is mocked by Mel Kiper to go 29th to the Kansas City Chiefs in the first round. Tankathon, one of my favorite websites, has Brandon Cisse mocked at 32 in the last pick of the first round to the Seattle Seahawks. Is this type of stuff of getting players drafted and being able to put your talent on full display great for the program. How is it good for the program? Well, Shane talked about that, so we're going to talk about that and hear what Shane had to say coming up next here on the early game.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
This hour of in-show listening on 1075 The Game is sponsored by QC Kinetics in West Columbia, the non-surgical regenerative orthopedic specialists of the Midlands. Request your consultation today by dialing pound 250 and use keyword QC Kinetics.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
It's a holiday weekend, a long weekend. The madness, it begins today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to lock in. Your boss asks why you're not in the office. Tell him you're on the couch, watching games with the TV muted. You got the Westwood One radio call on. We're the official home of March Madness. You're experiencing basketball bliss. It's a mental health day. If they ask who gave you permission, tell them Denton Day did. Enjoy the day.
This is the highlight of my morning. Hey, what's up? It's Island.
And I'm Josh.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Biscuit is that it's our go-to morning comfort.
You've got that nice golden fluffy egg.
With a soft, flaky biscuit.
Crispy bacon.
Melty cheese.
You want something quick, you want something convenient, but most of all, you want something good.
There's no better way to start your morning.
There we go.
Start off the morning with a Chick-fil-A Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Biscuit with Simply Orange Juice. Order on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Pump up the volume. Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
Tartan Day, you might just learn a thing or two. We can't wait to see all of you at Tartan Day.
Break out your kilts. It's time for Tartan Day South, built by Culpeper Wood. This year's festival celebrates the Celtic influence on our nation's 250th birthday. The Celtic Concert is Friday, March 27th. All the great bands hit the stage for one musical night at the Ice House Amphitheater, downtown Lexington. And then the main event, Tartan Day South Celtic Festival, is Saturday, March 28th at the historic Columbia Speedway in Casey. Gates open at 9 a.m. to a 9-acre infield of lush green grass filled with activities and entertainment, Highland Athletics, Celtic concerts, South Carolina's largest British car show, sheepdogs, birds of prey exhibitions, and food and beverage vendors for the entire family.
Tartan Day, you might just learn a thing or two. We can't wait to see all of you at Tartan Day.
Tickets on sale now at tartandaySouth.com.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Did you know that only 10 to 15% of Parkinson's cases are purely genetic? The rest, scientists say, are heavily influenced by environment and lifestyle factors. So I recently spoke about ways you can reduce your risk of developing this disease with a neurologist, Dr. Michael Okun, on my podcast, Chasing Life. He told me most important is to drink clean water, breathe clean air, and eat clean food. But what it means, though, more specifically, maybe get a proper filter for the water you drink at home. Use air purifiers at home as well and at the office, and take the time to rinse your fruits and vegetables, even if they're organic. Things like regular exercise, obviously important. Whatever you like and will continue to do, being the most important, you need to prioritize sleep. Just not how much you get, but the quality of that shut-eye as well. That gives your brain a chance to recover every night. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
The Early Game. With former Gamecock Preston Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen. On the Game Network, 1075 Game app, and the Game TV radio on YouTube.
Before we get into players like Brandon Cisse being a good billboard, Jalen Kilgore, a lot of the guys that are going to be drafted for South Carolina, being a good billboard for the program, we'll go back out to the AAA heating and air phone lines where our pal, his name is Andy. Andy is on the line with us this morning. Good morning, Andy. Welcome to the early game.
Hey guys, y'all got me reaching in the drawer. I've got my Dollar Tree Garnet glasses.
Okay.
Out.
Yes.
So y'all talking it up, but so I'm excited to see just first what the heck is going to happen because we don't know, and it's just going to be fun to find out, hopefully. But when you're talking about top to the bottom leadership, you didn't mention Dawn Staley, the one team that we got that is consistently producing quality. Right now, we're waiting to see what happens in the tournament, but we still know we got one hell of a chance because it starts at the top, and she is, has that it factor like you were talking about, how the team rallies around her. And now she knows what she wants. So I'll hang up and listen. Y'all be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. Yeah. And that doesn't go without speaking. But yeah, you can notice those teams take on a lot of her personality traits. And it's really interesting to see how once you're around that person for so long, you sort of start to develop in their image. If to not mince words, yeah, you develop because that's who they are. That's who they mold you to be.
One of my favorite examples on that team this year is Maddie McDaniel. Because you know how Maddie was last year. She's never going to be the tallest player on the floor. In any game that she plays, she'll never be the tallest player on the floor. You have seen her consistently play with more aggression and more attack to the basket. I mean, and even in the loss to Texas in that SEC tournament title game, she had 10 points. She was getting to the basket. She was being incredibly aggressive. There is no fear in Maddie Mouse because I think a lot of that has to do with having to play point guard for Dawn Staley. That is going to rub off on you. That experience is going to change you as a point guard. And I think it certainly has. That's just a small example out of a plethora of examples you could use with Dawn Staley. But I think that one, if we just want to get really specific for a moment to highlight what Andy said, I think that is the perfect example.
The funniest part about that, about Coach Staley, is the one team, remember the daycare team, how she was trying to, and they were like, Coach, we see through you. We're gonna have a lot of fun here. She like couldn't stand them at first, but then she eventually adapted to them, right? Because they had a personality. So it can work all kinds of ways, but we have to have standards set in place, a way we do things, and protocols, and it usually goes from there.
Yeah, it certainly does. That's what great leadership consists of. And the best example we have on campus is exactly what Andy alluded to with Dawn Staley. Real quick before we get out, do we have time to do this? Yes, we do. This will be cut one, Jen, from yesterday's list. This is Shane talking to the Gamecock Central crew plus Tyler Head about how players getting drafted helps recruiting and development.
Yeah, just that. In recruiting, we can sell the development that you're going to get here. That you come in, you could be a guy like a Nikki Manwari who was not highly recruited, that came here, spent 3 years, developed, and had the year that he had as a rookie. You can be a defensive back like Brandon Cisse, who came here, spent 1 year. Not that he was on NFL radars before he got here, but he spent 1 year and has a chance to be a first-round draft pick. So you give those young men credit because there's something about them on the inside that allowed them to do that, but then give Torian Gray, Clayton White, our weight room, nutrition, training room, just the overall development that you get in this program. It's something that we sell a lot and that you can point to, and not just with defensive backs. Demetrius Knight at linebacker and what he was able to do in 1 year in our program. So every young man that we recruit, they say they want to be developed. They say they want to go somewhere where they have a chance to play at the next level. And not that other schools don't, they all do, but we've got a pretty good track record of being able to bring guys in here, get the most out of them, and put them in position to go, maximize their potential.
Proof of concept. Proof of concept. That's exactly what I think Shane is alluding to there, and using those specific examples of somebody like Nick. And the fact that Nick was good in the NFL right away helps out a lot. And he's
Super Bowl champion right away. A key cog in a defense that was the best defense in the National Football League right away is a big example of that for somebody who, like he mentioned, under-recruited coming out of high school. I think a lot of people would have seen Nick in high school and kind of looked at him maybe as a tweener, a lot of the same thing that people in the NFL probably did. But it takes a coach to be able to develop him, to develop those different skills, to make it to where he masters a position and is able to flash the different elements of his skill set to make him attractive enough to be picked by a team like the Seattle Seahawks high in the draft, and then to be able to get those results instantly
is a really good reflection of what you do with player development.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to that story of being able to claim and seeing that name on the board during starting lineups or whenever they're talking about him. Nick Emenwari, University of South Carolina. That carries so much weight with the kids that are watching the games coming up.
Yeah, and then with Brandon Cisse, too. I mean, Brandon Cisse was a highly coveted player out of the portal, but to come here and then, like, you see this all the time, of players that are highly coveted in the portal, maybe have a little bit of professional intrigue to them, and then it just doesn't materialize. And it could have not materialized in a 4-8 season. But the fact that he's still able to put so much on film to be able to get into first-round discussions is just another example. I mean, keep using those examples. Like other guys like Tonka Hemingway ended the year pretty good with the Raiders. How he grew his entire time here, right? TJ Sanders became a draft pick, and it took some time, but he came here and got significantly better over the course of his career. There are plenty of examples, whether it is high school recruits or transfer portal guys, and I think that is the best indictment defensively for your program. And coming up next, it's the Thursday of the NCAA tournament. Which games are we excited for? We'll discuss next.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
It's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. They're a women-owned business, locally owned business. And I'm telling you what, they did great by us when we had to redo our kitchen, had to completely gut the kitchen and put in new cabinetry. And they were so helpful in that respect. It was such a good experience that when it came to replacing cabinetry in a couple of bathrooms, there was only one place to go, and that was CHW Cabinetry. If you have some, your pantry gets overloaded and you can't find anything, they can help with that. They can maybe install some drawers. They can also do things to help you set up maybe a home office workspace, maybe like your closet to be a little bit more functional, a little nicer. All of those things and more they can do for you. Check them out online, chwcabinetry.com, or call them at 803-520-6837, and be sure to tell them Jen sent you. CHW Cabinetry in Lexington, passion from inspiration to installation.
Sponsored by Odoo.com. All your business apps in one place. Your business deserves tools to make you feel in control, not overwhelmed. With Odoo's all-in-one, easy-to-use platform, everything is together so you can focus on what matters. Start at odoo.com today. That's ODOO.com.
Plus tax tags and title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. The all-new JT's Kia is officially open with their new state-of-the-art showroom designed to make your buying experience fast, friendly, and hassle-free. Get grand opening 0% financing for 60 months on new Kias. Put no money down and JT's million-mile warranty. Plus savings up to 10 grand off new Kias and up to 5 grand over book value for your trade. Get to JT's Kia today, I-77 at Killian Road or Greystone Boulevard.
When my wife and I got married after both graduating law school, we didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Ultima had to give me her gas card just to drive home. We never could have imagined that one day we would have the largest injury firm in the world and $25 billion in money collected and counting. As good Catholics, we had 4 children fast. They all work in the firm today. Our family protecting yours. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, but our greatest gift was years away, grandchildren. Today we have 6 and counting. It's the greatest joy that we have ever experienced. I think about them all day long. Our family promises to protect your family should you need us. Call us. It's easy. Visit forthepeople.com and make sure you hug your grandchildren. God's final gift to us. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. It's the Game Network Traffic Report from the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Center. Broken down and need a tow or even free signage for your lot? Dial pound 250 and use keyword tow truck today.
Still things moving along pretty well this morning. Don't have any reports of any accidents right now. Good news there. And the forecast looking better each and every day. 66 under a mix of clouds and sun today. Overnight low, a little bit warmer. It'll be 40 overnight. Tomorrow's high 75, and then 82 on Saturday, 86 on Sunday. Need that jacket this morning, though. It is clear, but 36.
Your home for the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station. What a catch! The Early Game with former Gamecock Preston Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network and streaming on the 107.5 The Game app.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He is Preston Thorne. She is Jen Jensen. And I have never been more excited. Every day, or every year, this is my day. And it's always the first day that's the best. Now, like, the whole tournament's awesome. But I hear this, and I immediately, the endorphins in my brain get released. And I didn't get much sleep last night because I stayed up watching Miami, Ohio spray 16 threes against SMU. And I'm not going to take a nap today because once I leave here, meeting up with my boy David Cloninger to watch the first set of games, going over to Twin Peaks where we're live from noon to 6 today, hanging out with Terry Ford to give him, because he's riding solo today.
This is your day.
Oh, buddy. Inject it right into my veins. I need this.
This is almost Christmas for you.
This is better than Christmas.
Better than Christmas, okay. Sorry, family.
Sorry,
Hope
Mom.
you're not listening. Please don't stream the show.
My mom does like to listen to this show, so she's going to hear this. And I want to say sorry, Mom. If you could get 64 teams in one single bracket and have 16 games in a day created on Christmas for me, then yes.
It would be life is good.
It would be the same. If he moves over there, it'd be the exact same.
Okay.
But this is better than Christmas. I've even got, I was telling Preston, I wear this jersey like one day a year. It's always the Thursday of the NCAA tournament, and it is a Artis Gilmore, Jacksonville University jersey.
Wow.
Did I order it from a website that is based overseas that took 3 months for me to get this jersey, and at one point in time didn't think I was ever going to get it?
But it only cost $1.37.
Yes. But was it incredibly cheap? Yes, and it is fully stitched, and it's really cool.
That's awesome. It looks good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Why didn't you just go completely sleeveless?
A little chilly outside.
Oh, okay.
Little chilly outside.
Raw jacket weather.
Yeah, raw jacket weather.
And I'm not going to lie. Basketball jerseys, on some folks, just wear the T-shirt under it. My entire high school basketball career, until we got jerseys that were like really tight and fitted to where you really couldn't comfortably wear anything under it, I was always a T-shirt under the jersey guy.
Well, that's another thing you can look forward to. All the different ways that you can wear the uniform, right? There's going to be T-shirt under jersey guy. There's going to be long sleeve guy.
Long sleeve guy.
There's probably going to be tights guy, even though tights seem to be going away a little bit.
And the shorts are getting a little shorter.
The shorts are coming back.
Yes.
We talked about this the other day. Basketball uniforms have reached a good spot here.
Yes, a perfect medium,
because
I think.
Back in my day, we were outrageous.
Booty shorts.
Well, that's the thing. We were outrageously huge.
Oh, you were still baggy.
We were baggy as they can get, below the knees, off the behind. As the bigger, the better, right? But that was a react. This is how fashion works. That was a reaction from the booty shorts.
Yes,
that were the previous era, right?
Which can we just maybe not? Because those are awfully short and sometimes awfully tight, and
very revealing.
Let's not.
They're very revealing.
Yeah,
And for some, depending on, I guess, the size of the shorts you have, they fit or not, maybe a little too form-fitting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think we're at a nice spot here with the basketball shorts and uniforms. So that's something that you can also look forward to.
I'll have to show them to you too, Jen. I was showing Preston pictures of when I was playing in high school, which is 2009 to 2013. And my shorts were so long. It was such a sign of the times because the shorts were so long that when I sat on the bench, they still touched my shins a little bit.
Wow.
They were incredibly
if you have the long socks and the long shorts, if they meet, that's a problem.
Yeah. You weren't seeing much of my leg.
No skin.
Yeah, you were not seeing much skin on my leg. That is where we were in terms of style. And
That's crazy.
I can't remember if Arkansas is playing today or tomorrow. I need to go back and look. But if you watch Darius Acuff, he's got one of my favorite basketball style things. He doesn't have the T-shirt under the jersey. It's the cutoff under the jersey.
Nice.
Think J.J. Redick.
Nice. I like it.
That's a classic college basketball look. You don't see that much anymore. But Darius Acuff has it. Now, that's one reason to be excited for that particular game. But which games are we most looking forward to today that have caught our level of intrigue?
Can I be honest?
Yes.
You have piqued my interest because of your love for this brackets, before the love of this time. I've keyed in on one specific game, and it's touched something in my soul. And if you listen to the show, you know I like a narrative. I'm also a little bit of a hater. And Wisconsin High Point has piqued my interest. It's a 5-12. I know you're high on Wisconsin, and I'm not sure if I would like to see anything more that maybe your bracket get busted.
It would.
Because you have Wisconsin going pretty deep, correct?
Final Four.
Okay.
They're in my Final Four.
Wisconsin, High Point, 1:50 p.m. I will be locked on.
And High Point's good. That's the one thing when I saw that draw, because I knew I was going to take Wisconsin to go far because I love the profile of that team. I have watched them a lot this year. That is one team where I've gotten incredibly intrigued with, and they have beaten a lot of really good teams. And I was like, of all the mid-majors, they're probably going to be a 5, so they're going to get a 12. Depending on the 12, it might get a little hairy. High Point is maybe the only team in college basketball this year that is top 5 in the country in taking care of the ball and forcing turnovers. Now, they will be at a size disadvantage, but High Point does play a really sound defense. Again, your top 5 in forcing turnovers are really good. That game is going to be decided on who is consistently getting their shot from three-point range, because they both love to spray it. So there's a little bit of variance that can happen in that regard between Wisconsin and High Point. And I think Wisconsin's a 10.5-point favorite in there. Wisconsin's definitely a much better shooting three-point team when it comes to making them, but High Point does take a lot of them. Both teams take a lot of them. We might get like 63-point attempts in this game. Who knows? But it is interesting. And if High Point wins, I will die a little inside, even though I do love the upset. One of the reasons why I wear this Artis Gilmore jersey is because Jacksonville went to a championship with them. It just lost to UCLA. So to me, that's basically a de facto championship.
Who didn't lose to UCLA?
Yeah, who didn't lose to UCLA? I think that's the rite of passage of getting to go to that game every year. So that's why I rock this thing. Now, a couple of other games. I didn't go as upset heavy this year because there weren't as many mid-majors that I loved during the regular season. A lot of them got beat early. Like UNC Wilmington would have been a team I probably would have picked this year. They got bounced in the CAA tournament. Belmont's a team I would have picked if they were to have made it in. That's probably the best shooting team in college basketball this year. They got bounced in their first round game at the Missouri Valley tournament. So there were so many really good mid-majors that just didn't get in because of the conference tournament result. However, there are a couple of teams that I am incredibly interested in terms of an upset pick, and one of them is South Florida over Louisville, especially considering yesterday the news came out Michael Brown is not going to play for Louisville. And Michael Brown changes a lot of things. That's a guy who's going to be a lottery pick. That is a guy who, out of all the really talented freshmen in college basketball this year, is maybe the most underappreciated because he has a ridiculous skill set, and he fits what Louisville likes to do on offense incredibly well. USF is playing hot. They're an elite offensive rebounding team. They're very athletic. Not the best shooting team, but they lock up on defense. It's a top 40 defensive unit. And with Louisville being without their best player, I am intrigued. And if you want to know a storyline too, Brian Hodgson, the coach of South Florida, his dad, who has dementia, has never seen him coach a game.
Okay, yeah, I did see this.
He is from the Buffalo area. The game is played in Buffalo, and Brian Hodgson's dad will be in attendance for that game. So I think the story. I think the upset happens from a basketball perspective. I'm really hoping it happens from a human element perspective.
And this is Pat Kelsey's second year in Louisville?
It is. Last year they were an 8 seed and got beat by 9-seeded Creighton in the first round.
So he, obviously, with the College of Charleston ties, he was here. He's gone there, and you would say he's been a success?
Yes. Considering how bad Kenny Payne got that program.
Yeah, he ran it into the ground.
Buddy, it was bad enough, and unfortunately, if you want to have some local ties here, Paul Maneri is maybe South Carolina's Kenny Payne in terms of just how bad things have gotten, how a really proud program reached lows you never thought you would reach. Kenny Payne was like that for Louisville, and once Pat Kelsey came in, that completely changed. They were good enough to make the NCAA tournament. Now we'll see how he does down the road, because you're going to have to advance in this thing. It's great to get them back, and it's great to make them interesting and be, bringing in a really good talent that is coming together and playing well and winning 20-plus games a year. Terry and I talked about this yesterday at Louisville, though. Just winning 20 games a year is good after what you had experienced. That will only fly for so long. But I'd say success.
Pronunciation. Gonzaga or Gonzaga? Gonzaga. All right.
They're the Zags, not the Zogs.
That's true. That's true.
If you'd like to have a good remembering or a good, mnemonic device on how to say it. Remember,
not the Zagas. They're the Zags.
Yeah, they're the Zags, not the Zogs.
Kennesaw State, any shot?
They can make it interesting. Kennesaw State is very interesting because they have great size. They are one of the only teams in college basketball at the mid-major level, I think, that can really match up with almost anybody just in terms of size. Now, there's still a lot of things that they don't do particularly well, and Gonzaga is going to give them trouble all up and down the floor. And Gonzaga, I think, is still going to be able to win this game. But Kennesaw State, great offensive rebounding team, great at getting to the free throw line. And if you want to look at just average height, they're a top 50 team. And the starting lineup is 6'4", 6'4", 6'8", 6'9", 6'9". Now, they don't have 7-footers, but they do play positionless basketball. They have the most, I think, one of the highest collections of players that are 6'5" or taller. So they are very versatile in their lineup. They'll give Gonzaga something that Gonzaga doesn't see frequently. I just don't think they're good enough from a basketball perspective to be able to score a ton against a top 10 defense in Gonzaga.
When we come in here tomorrow, what's the most likely upset?
I think the most likely upset is going to be South Florida over Louisville. Mm-hmm. I think that one, if we just want to look at...
I've got South Florida going pretty far.
Oh, look
just
at
for some
Jen.
fun little upsets.
Oh, look at Jen. See, I love it. I love it.
Which, by the way, again, public service announcement, brackets are closed at
12:15. Do it at noon.
Actually,
goodbye noon.
Yes, I have a 4 hours, 48 minutes, and 10 seconds.
Oh, see? Yep.
Countdown clock.
We have a countdown clock, which means it is coming. You have to be able to get that bad boy locked in, because if you don't do it by then, ESPN, CBS, they are not forgiving, or whatever website you use. I've used CBS and ESPN before. It's the two that I have used, and they will lock that sucker up.
And the 1075 The Game website, if you're wanting to be in another opportunity, we do have a bracket challenge sponsored by Griffin Pools and Spas. So just go to our website, 1075thegame.com, and there's little big things at the top that kind of scroll and look for the one that says the $1 Million Bracket Challenge. So you can get in on that.
Can I join?
You can't win,
I won't win,
but you
but
could join.
I would like to compete with all of the friends.
I think it would be fun.
That way you guys can compete with me too.
Yeah. So I've just FYI, we hadn't mentioned it, but you have 4 hours, 47 minutes, and 16 seconds to do that.
You know why I love Griffin Pools and Spas? Outside of the fact they make you feel good, they're hoop heads too. They've sponsored my entire basketball coverage this postseason.
I do bar 3 with with the owners.
They love hoop.
Yeah.
I love it.
Love it.
Which is immediately earning favor with me. Now, in terms of the best game to watch, the game that is going to be the closest, we're going to start off with a banger because Ohio State and TCU are incredibly close. Actually, you know what? I totally forgot. VCU and North Carolina State. That's the most likely upset. That one I can almost guarantee. I feel really good about VCU.
Yeah, that's the one that's really strange. I mean, they're only 2.5 point favorites.
No Caleb Wilson, I think, hurts North Carolina a lot. I think that is really going to hurt. And I really like VCU. They shoot the ball better than a lot of other VCU teams in the past have. They're not as full court pressy and athletic, elite rebounding like you've seen a lot of VCU teams be, but they can shoot the lights out.
So does that injury allow Hubert Davis a little bit more leeway if this happens?
I don't think North Carolina fans are going to care.
They don't want to hear it.
Especially if they lose in the first round to a team from the A-10. I think that one can get really messy.
Come on board, Preston. I've got VCU.
I like it.
Join the dark side. I do too. I love VCU in that matchup. The game, though, if you want to see the most oil and water basketball game on the planet, it's happening tonight at 7:35 on True TV. Not going to be interrupted by Impractical Jokers because St. Mary's and Texas A&M play. That is a team in Texas A&M that plays full court press, shoots a ton of threes, plays really fast, and St. Mary's is, for about 2 decades now, been the slowest team in college basketball. Slowest, most methodical team in college basketball. Styles make fights, and those teams could not be any more different. I almost think the committee did this on purpose. They could not be more different. This game's going to be like a science experiment.
Think St. Mary's can do it?
I think they do.
That's who I have, so that's why I'm hoping.
I just think they're a better basketball team, all in all.
Mm-hmm.
But coming up next, though, if you're filling out this bracket and picking teams based off which mascots can win in a fight, well, we're here for you, and that's what we're doing for the morning meeting coming up next.
Network 107.5 The Game in Columbia, 96.9 The Game in Charleston, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach, and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia, The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com. Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia, The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring correctional officers statewide. Officers must be at least 18 years of age and have a high school diploma or GED. If you have correctional, police, security, or military experience, you can join their team at a promotional rank as a sergeant or lieutenant. Discover a rewarding correctional career with a room for long-term career advancement and a generous employee benefits package that cares for you and your family. Visit joinscdc.com to apply today. Sponsored by SC Department of Corrections, SCBA, and this station.
I'm Jason Reynolds. You may wonder if you're better off hiring a big corporate law firm with hundreds of lawyers, or should you go local?
I'm Stephen Samuels. With the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, you get me, or Jason, or Michael, or David. You have your own lawyer who can go toe-to-toe with anybody from big law to big insurance.
Here's how you know. Call 803-779-4000. You won't get a robot. You'll get Abby or Andrea or one of our other wonderful people taking your call. Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers.
They say perfection is a journey, and at Carolina Stone Craftsman, that journey leads us to just outside Columbia in Chapin. Our marble, our granite, our quartz, they're sculpted with the highest craftsmanship, honed with family values, and delivered with professional results. Explore the craftsmanship of each slab, see all our new showroom has to offer, and experience our custom hardscapes. Crafted to perfection, experience Carolina Stone Craftsman's workmanship. Take us for granted. Your journey to perfection starts with us. Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia and Chapin and beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com.
Not sure how to tackle your taxes? Are you sweating the small print? You may be experiencing FOMO, the fear of messing up. The answer? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. It's time to take your taxes to the max. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Average Amy's. Our coffee has caffeine and our muffins are cooked.
You're not average. Your marketing results shouldn't be either. Cumulus Digital outperforms industry benchmarks by over 25%. Visit cumulusdigital.com to start outperforming today.
Plus tax tags entitled with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. The all-new JT's Kia is officially open with their new state-of-the-art showroom designed to make your buying experience fast, friendly, and hassle-free. Get grand opening 0% financing for 60 months on new Kias. Put no money down and JT's million-mile warranty. Plus savings up to 10 grand off new Kias and up to 5 grand over book value for your trade. Get to JT's Kia today, I-77 at Killian Road or Greystone Boulevard. Boulevard.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because Rhino Shield is backed by a 25-year warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call at 833-RHINO-99. Call now and receive 15% off the regular price. Or go to RhinoShieldCarolina.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
Call now, 833-RHINO-99 for your 15% off. Or go to RhinoShieldCarolina.com.
It's the Game Network Traffic Report from the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Center. Broken down and need a tow or even free signage for your lot? Dial pound 250 and use keyword tow truck today.
No accidents to report, but we do have need you to make note of a disabled vehicle as you're merging from Hugie onto Elmwood. Kind of right there at the end of that curve, there is a disabled vehicle. That is a really bad spot for that. So please be careful and be mindful that you might come upon a car. Certainly don't want anybody hurt here. So again, that's Hugie merging onto Elmwood Avenue, a stalled vehicle. So be aware of that. 66, that's going to be our high today. 75 tomorrow, 82 on Saturday, and still pretty brisk this morning. It's 35 on 107.5 The Game.
With former Gamecock Preston Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network, 107.5 Game app, and at the Game TV radio on YouTube.
There are many ways to fill out a bracket, especially if you don't know much about college basketball. But everyone fills one out because it's fun. That's what the office pools are for. That is the fun, interactive nature of this event every single year. And a certain Mike Leach rant inspired me to do this bit. But before we hear from Mike Leach, who I think lays out some really important parameters on who would win in mascot fights, we're going to kick off today's morning meeting the right way.
Good morning. Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day. Let's go. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
And yes, it will. NCAA tournament starts today, and the women's tournament starts tomorrow. Now, remember, South Carolina does not play until Saturday. That's their first round game, and once they demolish that opponent, they will move on and play on Monday. Now, I think that time is still TBD, but we'll keep you updated once we get those second round times. But first, if you are filling out your men's bracket and you only wanted to do so by which mascot is winning in a fight in each individual matchup, Mike Leach lays out some really important parameters from this cut a long time ago. May he rest in peace. This is what Mike Leach had to say when he was asked about the same scenario, but with Pac-12 schools.
Well, first of all, what kind of mythical powers does a Sun Devil have? We got to consider that. I'm going to say the Wildcat's out. The Trojan, does he have a horse or is he on foot? Does he have a bow and arrow or just his sword? The Bruin, definitely formidable. Another bear up there at Cal. The tree, I imagine that tree's going to get chopped down. Unless we're going to go with a bird and somebody might get pecked or something, I don't know. And then the duck might lose interest and just fly away and get out of there, which may be good advice under the circumstances. The husky, no chance. The beaver, we'll see how long that beaver can hold his breath. The Ute, again, we're back to, is he on horseback? Does he have a bow and arrow? Did he trade for a rifle? I mean, because if that Ute's got a rifle, there's some definite problems. And then, you'd have to get one of those Harry Potter activists to read up on how you kill a sun devil, because there's a lot of outside stuff there. Just as far as a beast alone, a buffalo's going to be pretty hard to tangle with. I mean, a buffalo's utterly outstanding. Well, but Butch is going to have to be clear-minded and crafty. I mean, Butch will find a way. There's no question. The Cougar will find a way. Clear-minded and crafty, a combination of stay out of harm's way and attack when you get your chances or your openings.
Now, he did mention Butch, who is the nickname of the mascot, the Cougar, for Washington State. But the reason I wanted to play that is because he brings up a lot of fair questions, Jen Jensen. And I think that what's going to determine this bracket of mascots in a fight is going to boil down to who or what we allow in this scenario. Because I already have a Final Four in mind. Duke as the Blue Devils, what mythical powers do they have, right? If they have significant power, like I guess the devil biblically has been given, then that's tough to pick against. Vanderbilt's the other Final Four participant I have because of Commodore. If we allow weaponry and they can use a firearm, that's going to take care of a lot of their problems.
Okay, and I guess that would be a Commodore because I'm automatically going to
Lionel Richie.
Group, Lionel Richie in the group. So
now, Lionel Richie,
that would be powerful.
Oh, that would be powerful. Now, here's the thing too, like Vanderbilt, McNeese State, they're the Cowboys. Also, and this is a rare firearm versus firearm matchup in the first round, but I went Commodore because, a little more military training, I think probably makes you a little better with your weapon. So that was what gave them an edge there. But they don't see a lot of opponents that also have a firearm. That can get a little tricky there. So I have Vanderbilt in the Final Four too. And then on the right side of the bracket, we have two different significant weather events, with Iowa State being the Cyclones and Miami being the Hurricanes. How powerful are these Cyclones and Hurricanes? I think is a really big deal. But then when they play against each other in the Final Four, what is more powerful between a Hurricane and a Cyclone? This is what I got stuck on.
Boy, that is powerful. A cyclone, depending on how long it goes, like back home, there was that horrible tornado in Illinois that literally stayed on the ground 100 miles. That's a pretty powerful cyclone. That was an F3.
Yeah, and it causes a lot of damage in a wide range.
Oh, my gosh.
Affects a lot of people.
Horrific. So you look at what kind of a cyclone is it? Is it an F3 versus, an F, or I guess... Yeah, what is the hurricane? They're not Fs, are they?
Oh, categories.
Categories, yeah category. I was
category
like,
5.
What am I missing? So yeah, is there category 1 versus an F3? So see, you got to know the levels of power of these storms.
See.
I'm trying to make it more difficult.
On my personal text line, Terry Ford says the Athletic did their mascot bracket. The Red Storm beat the Hurricanes in the final. So the Athletic is allowing weather events
in their
play? And assuming they're at their most powerful.
Okay, at their most powerful.
Now, I eliminated St. John's because, like, Red Storm, I didn't know exactly what constitutes a Red Storm. They became the Red Storm because they were originally the Red Men, and they changed that. So that's the Red Storm. I don't know exactly what the difference between a Red Storm is as opposed to a normal one you're getting on
Correct. Is it a lot of clay?
Yeah, a suspiciously warm, spring afternoon. Someone who grew up in what is now part of Tornado Alley. You feel it when it happens. Cyclones are pretty scary. I think the natural weather events have an upper hand here, but I think it really boils down to
because they're unpredictable.
They are very unpredictable. So I think I took hurricanes over cyclones. Maybe a little more different danger because of a flooding element too, that maybe the cyclone doesn't have. And then when you square them off against a Blue Devil, how much of the mythical powers the Blue Devil can stop a natural weather event?
Fascinating.
I put a lot of thought into this.
You did. And I'm a little worried.
This is what I do in my spare time.
Maybe another hobby.
Maybe I should take up crocheting or cross stitching.
Yeah, that would make you crazy. I'm pretty sure. I think you need to. I think your mind needs to go a little bit more, a little deeper. But no, I love the thought process of the bracket, because if you aren't sure who to pick, well, then take it from this perspective.
Take it from this perspective.
So I think that's a fun way to fill them out.
Because even though, I mean, if I just fill it out that way, I mean, I still have Duke, Vanderbilt, Iowa State, and Miami. They can still get a 1 seed in there. You got a 2 seed. And from a basketball perspective, I do really love Iowa State. I am very intrigued by them. They're one of my favorite teams to watch in all of college basketball. So that still gets them in the Final Four. Now, Miami is interesting because they have a lot of talent. They've kind of flown under the radar this year, but they've beaten some really good teams and have hung in there with a lot of really good teams. So it's still, I wouldn't say a foolproof way, but if you have not watched basketball all year long, I think that is a good way to at least get yourself in the ballpark.
I like that.
Of something. But in terms of news, the NFL has had a lot of stuff happen. It feels like you drink information through a fire hose during the NFL offseason. There was a big trade earlier this week. I'll give you my thoughts on whether or not a certain team in the AFC made themselves a favorite to get to the Super Bowl next year. I'll tell you who that is and what players involved next here in the early game.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
It's that time again. Friday, April 3rd, the Spring Golf Classic at Charwood in West Columbia with our buddies Rock and Daniel Lucas. Once again, $400 for a team. And we have Saki's Morning Libations Bar before tee-off. Also, the classic onion sausage. Once again, presented by the Lexington Gamecock Club. Yeah, I know you're going to ask. We have the golf gun. Yes, we do. All that, Friday, April 3rd. Again, $400 a team, $100 for an individual. Very simple. Write down this phone number, 803-755-2000, and press number 2 for our buddies at Charwood. Again, 803-555-2000, press 2. April 3rd, it's the Spring Golf Classic from the Game.
Spring is about here. You're doing some updates in your home, maybe needing some countertops or vanities, redoing your shower, maybe a fireplace or a custom hardscape. Well, look no further than Carolina Stone Craftsman in Chapin, family-owned and operated, she said, meaning you deal with owners directly. It's not a call center. It's not a sales rep, and they've been serving this Columbia area for over 2 decades, which means not only do they know the product, they also know the market and, of course, their customers. They offer full fabrication where they cut, shape, and install. And when we needed countertops for some bathrooms that we redid, every step of the process was great. We visited their showroom, which is absolutely amazing, discussed our plans, and they finished the job perfectly. If you have projects coming up in your home, reach out to Carolina Stone Craftsman, 803-408-3456. Tell them Jen sent you. Carolina Stone Craftsman, beyond Columbia and Chapin and beyond your expectations. Check them out online, carolinastonecraftsman.com.
Sponsored by SC Education Lottery. The Mega Millions jackpot their Thursday is $50 million. Be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer and get your ticket today. See SCEducationLottery.com for jackpot odds and a store near you.
There's still time to register for this year's Cocky Trot, but act quick because early bird pricing ends this Sunday. Join Gamecock fans of all ages for the 5K or the shorter fun run and walk on Saturday, April 25th at 9 a.m. Registration includes your commemorative race shirt and finisher medal while you run through Gamecock Park and the indoor and outdoor football practice facilities. Register today at GamecocksOnline.com/CockyTrot and take advantage of the early bird pricing. That's GamecocksOnline.com/CockyTrot.
Plus tax and title with approved credit. Call 888-411-7640 for details. March is a race against time at JT's Jeep Ram. JT is selling every single Ram regardless of profit or loss. Every credit application and offer accepted. JT's been challenged to sell 150 Rams, making deals the other dealers can't. New Rams, light duty, heavy duty, up to $15,000 off with 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. JT's Jeep Ram, 378 Lexington or Greystone Boulevard. Ram Truck Month.
Tomorrow, some of us will wake up and it will be our last day on this earth. It will be unexpected and without warning. Each year, 250,000 people will die from medical malpractice, the third leading cause of death in America. 43,000 will die in a car or truck crash. 6,000 will die working on the job. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, and we represent many of these families. It's awful. Unfortunately, many times some of these family members are not speaking and never get to say, I'm sorry or goodbye. If you're at odds with a loved one, listen closely. Pick up the phone. Call them. Say you're sorry. I promise a huge burden will be lifted from your heart and your soul will be renewed. Even if you're not wrong in your own mind, it doesn't matter. Death is bad enough. Death without closure and love will follow you the rest of your days. Trust me on this. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Start your day with Drake C. Toll.
I'm Drake Toll, on the air from 6 a.m. to 9 Eastern, getting you to work every day. To do that with Westwood One, the Oxford University of Names and Sports Media. Buckle up.
Then Black and Abdallah.
That shot was insane.
Is that what you would say on the air?
You're the play-by-play guy.
Abdallah being testy. All right, here we go.
And Westwood One Sports Night.
Stay on the line, get on the call, talk about whatever you want. That's what we're doing on Westwood One Sports Night.
Westwood One Sports Talk. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app. It's the Game Network Traffic Report from the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Center. Broken down and need a tow or even free signage for your lot? Dial pound 250 and use keyword tow truck today.
No accidents to speak of. Still could be a disabled vehicle on that ramp, Hugie onto Elmwood Avenue. Right there, that curve, kind of a blind curve there, and there was a disabled vehicle. So be mindful of that so that you don't bump into them or anyone else. And as far as other accidents go, no, looking pretty good. And as far as forecast goes, we are looking at improving conditions as far as temperatures are concerned. 36. Is where we are right now, but we're looking for a high of 66 today, 75 tomorrow under mostly sunny skies, and a great weekend. Low 80s is where we should land. As I mentioned before, 36 right now.
The Early Game. With former Gamecock Preston Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen. On the Game Network, 107.5 Game app, and at the Game TV radio on YouTube.
Before we get to the trade that I think might make one ASC team a contender to go to the Super Bowl, I do have to get to the Firehouse Subs text lines because a lot of people, Jen, have weighed in terms of the mascot bracket, and some key points have been made. It's what makes this so difficult. I'll go to David first on the Firehouse Subs text line because now we're having to distinguish between hurricanes and cyclones. Because if I'm not mistaken, the cyclone is nothing but a hurricane itself, not a tornado. And I did do the research. I assumed it was just a tornado because Iowa State's their secondary logo is a tornado. And it's in Iowa. Iowa not known for getting hit with many hurricanes. But it is more closely related to a hurricane than a tornado. It is a tornado that comes from a hurricane.
Okay, interesting. I just assumed those were sort of interchangeable, so good to know.
I kind of did too, even though growing up I never referred to them as cyclones.
It was always a tornado.
Always a tornado or a twister.
Yes.
Twister used pretty frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Key distinction, a very key distinction. And then Jeff on the Firehouse Subs text line too says, at my brother's last radio job, one of the office ladies picked based off of uniforms and mascots. She won 2 years in a row. He quit doing brackets after that.
Oh my gosh.
He was studying stats, playing styles, player matchups, etc. Put hours into his bracket. Jeff, your brother learned a lesson, and that is that nothing you know actually matters in this thing.
No.
That's what makes it so fun.
That is what makes it so fun because you don't have to know anything. And teams that come in the lowest seed, they can have a great game and, put all the things together. They can rise to the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh my gosh, where did they come from? And yeah, so much fun.
Just think if in 2022 you looked at St. Peter's and you said, oh, they're the Peacocks, that rules. I want to pick them to beat Kentucky. I don't care how good Kentucky is. And I'm going to pick them to go very far.
Mm-hmm.
You would have won your bracket pool, more than likely.
It's super fun. It really is.
It is super fun. Again, as someone who has been doing this for a living, I've been covering college basketball as a sport. you know, professionally since I was in college. So, I mean, this has been almost 10 basketball seasons where I've been doing this professionally. I've obsessed over the sport my entire life. I think I maybe only won like 2 or 3 of the bracket pools I've been in.
Okay.
At least the ones that are of reasonable size, like friends and family. And then our family bracket group, I've only won a handful of times. My younger sister, who does not watch the sport at all, has won at least 5 times.
And as long as you can be okay with that, like, you know, the one person you referenced, they stopped doing the brackets because it wasn't fun for them. Okay, that's not good either. Because, you know, you don't want to be so serious that if an outsider comes in and wins, okay, that's kind of part of the fun of it. Not
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what encourages more people to do it.
Yeah.
Which is why I love when people who don't normally do it do it. Which is why when I was driving home from Nashville, my mom was like, "Oh, my work's doing this. I've never filled out a bracket in my life. Can you help me?" We were on the phone for 2+ hours.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, Mom should appreciate that. So your comment earlier about this being better than Christmas, maybe now that you helped her with her bracket, maybe that would soften the blow of how you feel about this versus Christmas.
I think she realized it a little bit that this was better than Christmas for me because she's probably like, okay, I think I get the gist now. We've been on the phone for 2 hours. Can you please stop?
I'm starting to see a trend here.
She started to notice some things.
He doesn't talk this much at Christmas.
Yeah, he's sleeping half the time. It's the most awake I've ever heard him. Yeah, that is certainly the case, and I know she can definitely attest to that.
I love it.
But one thing that I think most people can attest to, football fans, was that the Broncos were a contender last season. I mean, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC, and for a reason. This team, one of the best defenses in the NFL, an offense that saw a lot of improvement from Bo Nix, and a head coach in Sean Payton, who I still believe is one of the best, if not the best play caller in the NFL. But you could look at the core of weapons and say maybe something's missing, right? You don't have to maybe go out and make a huge splash, but maybe if you can get a good complimentary wide receiver to Cortland Sutton and a couple of the other young receivers that they have on the roster, that it can make a big deal to them. And we've had so many NFL transactions since the beginning of the month when free agency opened. We've had some trades. We've had some trades that are significant, some trades that were significant that got nixed because of a failed physical. Max Crosby, Ravens. But the Broncos traded for Jalen Waddle earlier this week. And in exchange for Jalen Waddle, the Broncos gave Miami a first-round pick for this year and a third and a fourth, and then a fourth-round pick in the next season's draft. They gave up a lot of picks. And, of course, the Broncos are getting a fourth. They basically pick-swapped fourth-round picks. But the Dolphins are getting their third and, most importantly, their first. Now, how this affects Denver is actually, I really like the fit. Now, Jalen Waddle's a guy who, started his NFL career red hot. His first 3 seasons in the year, 1,000+ yard seasons. Clearly a formidable wide receiver in this league. And in those seasons, too, he was getting a lot of targets. And I think we've seen more of the struggles in the last 2 years from Miami when it comes to maybe Tua Tagovailoa's availability and maybe some of his limitations that have been shown. Because then in the last 2 years, he's been under 1,000. He got a little closer this year. He had 910. And, of course, he played a lot of the season without Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill had a season-ending injury pretty early in the season. And still not enough to get Jalen Waddle over 1,000 yards. And I don't know how much of that blame should be divvied to Waddle as opposed to Tua Tagovailoa. There are a lot of people that cover the league that do a really good job of that. They can explain that maybe a little better than I can. But what I do know is that in the 3 years in which he got over 1,000 yards in a season, Jalen Waddle was doing that as a complementary wide receiver, as kind of like the number 2 guy playing next to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill being the deep threat that teams have to worry about, and Jalen Waddle being a guy who's going to get some advantageous matchups. The reason I like this for the Broncos a lot is that Cortland Sutton can have a little taken off his plate. He has a really good rapport with Bo Nix. It gives Bo Nix another weapon, a really good complementary wide receiver. And I think at Jalen Waddle's height can be a reasonable number 1 if he had to. Not maybe his strength, not probably where you utilize him the best at being in terms of the most targeted receiver on your team. But there's a lot to that skill set. Great athleticism, and for the most part, really reliable. I mean, in his NFL career, he's played a full 16-game season, a 17-game regular season, missed 3 games in 2023, missed a couple in 24, and only missed 1 last season. So for the most part, he's durable. You can rely on him to be able to play, and it helps you out a lot in your passing game, and it gives your blossoming offense an extra weapon who has proven he can go for over 1,000 yards in a season. That's good for Bo Nix. That's good for Sean Payton. That continues to make the Denver Broncos a legitimate contender in the AFC. For the Dolphins, I like the amount of picks they got. It was a steep price. Was the price too much in terms of draft capital to give up for Jalen Waddle? I would say probably. But if you're in the Broncos' position where you have created a Super Bowl contention window for yourself, I will never fault a team for giving up draft picks to go for it in a 1 or 2 year span. For that, I like it for both teams. I mean, the Dolphins are clearly rebuilding. I feel bad for Malik Willis that Tyreek Hill's gone, and now Jalen Waddle's gone. His weapons are going away, and he's going to be asked to be a full-time starter for a full season for the first year in his career. And what the Dolphins do, trade away his receivers. Don't love that for Malik Willis. Malik Willis is really the big loser here, but I do love this trade for Denver in terms of what it creates for them in their window. But coming up next, basketball conversation continues. The game's not played today, but tomorrow there will be a game featuring a potential transfer portal target that South Carolina should look at. And I'll tell you who that is next.
Game Network, 107.5 The Game in Columbia, 96.9 The Game in Charleston, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach, and 100.5 The Game in Florence. Gamecock fans, get ready for something new this season. Charleston now has a new station for Carolina sports talk. Dial in to 96.9 The Game on HD3. Head to 96.9 FM and on an HD radio, punch into HD Channel 3. You'll unleash live Carolina coverage you can listen to all day long. New on HD3. It's 96.9 The Game HD3, South Carolina's newest sports station.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
This is March. We've whittled it from 68 to 64, and the field is set for March Madness. It begins today at 12:15 Eastern Time with TCU and Ohio State. Expect the offensive rebounding Frogs to wreak havoc on the Buckeyes, and expect Arizona to walk away national champions in a few weeks. We'll revisit this then. I'm Drake Toll.
What if your instincts could pay off? With Robinhood Prediction Markets, you could put your knowledge to work on the events that matter to you. Prediction Markets isn't just sports. It's the Fed rate decision, your favorite award show, and so much more beyond the playing field. Trade events with Robinhood. Visit Robinhood.com/predict. That's Robinhood.com/predict. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
You know that Chick-fil-A sells more than chicken, right?
Hello, my name is Jaleesa, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit is how it's all of my favorite breakfast items in one good bite. That fluffy egg, that melty cheese with that perfectly grilled sausage. It just gives you that warmth, that comfort food that you love. It is the best possible option for a classic breakfast.
Comfort is calling. Order a Chick-fil-A sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit with Simply Orange Juice on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonial.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-506-5803. 800-506-5803. Don't wait. Call now. 800-506-5803. 800-506-5803.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Life matters. In Charlotte a few years ago, Billy Graham was honored for a lifetime of service. Struggling with Parkinson's disease, Graham told the story of Albert Einstein, who had lost his train ticket and was looking in every nook and cranny trying to find it. The conductor assured the famous man that he was sure a purchase had been made. "I know who you are, Professor," the conductor said. "Don't worry. I know who I am too, replied Einstein. What I don't know is where I'm going. Reverend Graham said, I will be passing on soon, and I want you to know that on that day, because of Christ, I not only know who I am, but I also know where I will be going. In a world of uncertainty, it's great to have some firm answers about the future. Jesus said, whoever comes to me, I will never turn away. This is Pastor Stephen Chitty from Christian Life in Columbia. Remember, life matters, and so do you.
The early game with former Gamecock Preston Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network, 107.5 Game app, and at the Game TV radio on YouTube.
Now, lost in the shuffle of all upsets, dominance by the best teams, and just an entire fun slate of games that last all day, the best parts of the first two rounds of the NCAA tournament, men's and women's, especially on Friday where you get the women's bracket starting too, and you have essentially 32 college basketball games going on throughout the course of the day. There is one element that the new era of college sports has ushered in that kind of makes watching some of these teams maybe a little more interesting. A little more intrigue for your favorite team. If your favorite team is a team like South Carolina that's not participating in the tournament, but you're going to have to hit the transfer portal and you're going to have to be able to bring in new talent. Well, there's one game that seemingly on paper might not seem like a game you'd be interested in. However, I've been compiling a list of kind of like my transfer portal wish list, and I think there's one player that is at the top of it so far that is playing on Friday night that I think Gamecock fans must watch. And that is going to be at 7:35 on True TV tomorrow night. Purdue, as the 2 seed, takes on Queens, the 15 seed. It's Queens' first ever NCAA tournament, and Purdue's a 25.5-point favorite. So why would you be wanting to watch this game outside of just maybe a bet you've placed or an upset, a silly upset you picked for your bracket? Well, because Queens has a point guard that I think South Carolina needs to seriously take a look at. And that would be a kid with local ties, a point guard or a combo guard that is standing at 6'5", who has one of the highest assist rates in college basketball. That would be Jordan Watford. Now, he's a freshman for Queens, and he's a local kid. He's from Lancaster. And he was definitely under-recruited coming out of high school because he is essentially the starting point guard for a Division I team as a true freshman. And he has done nothing but succeed in that team so far to be able to get them to the NCAA tournament. They had to win 3 games in 3 days in the ASUN Conference tournament to get themselves to this historic feat that, again, this program has never seen before. It's a brand new team in Division I. They've barely been eligible long enough to be able to make this thing. But Jordan Watford helped get them there. Again, this is a guy who is top 100 in the country in offensive rating, which is just the amount of points your team scores per 100 possessions while you're on the floor. And it's one of my favorite ways to evaluate, not a flawed stat, but it is a stat that requires a lot of context. And I think given the context, given his usage and the percentage of minutes that he plays on this team, I think that is very key to showing what his impact is on the offense. There are a couple of other deep dive analytics that I will not go into explaining because I will not explain them as well as the people who created them, but I understand them. And one of them is net points created off passing. Jordan Watford is top 30 in the country in that stat. To sum it up, it accounts for the shots you create minus the turnovers that are forced by your passing. So it takes out bad passes, accounts for the shots that you create, whether they go in or not. And he's top 30 in the country as a true freshman with starting duties on this team. He started in 8 games, but he started a lot late and has played a lot late. They ask him to do a lot. He also draws a lot of fouls. He's top 30 in the country in fouls drawn per 40 minutes. Now, he's only taken 23 three-pointers this year, but he's at almost 35%. And he's a good enough free throw shooter at 77.8% for me to think that his three-point shooting can come along with development. But what he brings you is a big guard to give you a little more size, who has already proven he can be a good creator, already proven he can get to the free throw line, and has played a key role on a team getting to the NCAA tournament. And he has been on the radar of coaching staffs in the great state of South Carolina because he was considered one of the better high school players coming out in his class last season. I think he is certainly a player to give a look to. He certainly fits a mold of a player that I like, which is a plus-sized guard, right? I mean, you look at some of the teams in college basketball that are in this tournament that can be potentially dangerous. One of the reasons why they're dangerous is because they have great size across the board, and they have a large collection of players 6'5" or taller. Now, Duke is a hard kind of standard to reach. What makes Duke so dangerous is they have a lot of really good defenders, and they're all, the starting lineup with Caleb Foster healthy is all 6'5" and taller. I love a big guard who can get to the basket, who can draw fouls and create for others. And when it comes to effectively creating for others, that can be one of the hardest things to find in the transfer portal. That's going to be one of those player prototypes that the demand is going to be significantly higher than the supply. Kind of like a great edge rusher in college football. Kind of like maybe a quarterback, like a really good quarterback in college football in the transfer portal. That type of guard is going to be hard to find, and it's going to be a competitive market for all of those guys. Now, Jordan Watford has not entered the transfer portal because he can't, because his team is playing tomorrow in the NCAA tournament. But if he does, and I think he'll certainly have pressure to do so, South Carolina definitely needs to consider Jordan Watford. Hour number 3, the early game third and long hour, is coming up next.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
Sponsored by Lowe's. Save more on the brand's Pros Trust during Lowe's Pro Savings Days. Get a free DeWalt 20-volt Max 5 amp hour battery when you buy a select DeWalt 20-volt Max tool. Plus, get up to 35% off select major appliances. Valid through 3/27. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
Plus, tax entitled with approved credit. Call 888-411-7640 for detail. March is a race against time at JT's Jeep Ram. JT is selling every single Jeep regardless of profit or loss. Every credit application and offer accepted. JT's been challenged to sell 100 Jeeps, making deals the other dealers can't. New Jeeps up to $10,000 off. Grand Cherokees, Wranglers, Gladiators, even the all-new Jeep Cherokee with exclusive 1,000,000-mile warranty. JT's Jeep Ram, 378 Lexington or Greystone Boulevard. Declaration of Deal Sales Event.
Yo, this is Ray and Nathan with Pope Davis Tire Automotive. Dad, why do the other tire places in town not like us? They are just jelly about our lit prices. Like the top 17-inch size for your mom-mobile, $500 for a set of 4 out the door. Or the top 20-inch truck size for $720 total, no cap. You can even buy tires online at PopeDavisTire.com. Why is my line just 6'7"? 6'7"! I don't get it. PopeDavisTire.com.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
At Average Al's Furniture Warehouse, our sofas have cushions, our tables have 4 legs, our recliners recline. So come on by for a perfectly average experience.
Cumulus Digital doesn't stop at average. We work with more than 4,000 local businesses every month, delivering campaigns that beat industry averages by over 25%, driving real, measurable growth. You're not average. Your results shouldn't be either. Visit cumulusdigital.com to start outperforming today.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Keep your career moving forward.
with growth opportunities, great pay and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces. Go to careers.progressive.com and apply today.
It's the Game Network Traffic Report from the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Center. Broken down and need a tow or even free signage for your lot? Dial pound 250 and use keyword tow truck today.
Looking pretty good on the highways. No accidents to report, and it's been that way all morning. We love that. We do have the slowdown I-26 eastbound there from about mile marker 101 to I-20. Sunny skies is what we're expecting today. 66 will be the high. Sunny tomorrow, 75 up to 82 for your Saturday. Beautiful weather on the way. We deserve it, right? It's almost spring. Right now, it is sitting at 36 on 107.5 The Game.
Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game, WNKT Eastover, Columbia, a Cumulus media station. Back to sports, the early game with former Gamecock Preston Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network, 107.5 Game app, and the Game TV radio on YouTube.
Right now, I'm Elijah Campbell. Preston Thorne has left the building. Jen Jensen is here for just a few more minutes before Terry Ford subs in. He's at the scores table right now. He's waiting to sub in. He's stretching a little bit.
I think he needs to stretch a lot.
He's tapped the table. He's ready to come in. And hopefully he is stretched well enough because we have enough entries on this program already. We're recovering from enough, I would say. But Terry is subbing in. Rachel is in the production room here at Studio 803, handling the switches on the video side of things, which you can always watch on our YouTube page at the Game TV Radio. Or as I like to say, just go to the YouTube search bar there and search 107.5 The Game, and you will see exactly what it is you are looking for. And today's the first day of the NCAA tournament. Before we get to some of Shane Beamer from Pro Day on Tuesday, where he talks about spring practice, and there were some really interesting takeaways from that conversation he had with Tyler Head and the guys over at Gamecock Central, which if you haven't seen it, go back to that YouTube page to be able to watch, or go to our Twitter page where we did tweet out the link to that, because Clayton White spoke too, and there was a lot of really good stuff from both of those coaches. Just a reminder that if you have not submitted your bracket today, I do it by noon. I know 12:15 is the tip-off time between Ohio State and TCU. You can wait until then. It's got to be before then. I would say just go to 12. Do it at noon. Get it done there by noon. And before we hear from Shane, we'll go out to the AAA heating and air phone lines because it looks like my pal Rocky has called in. 803-404-6100. Good morning, Rocky. Welcome back to the early game, my friend.
Morning, Elijah. You were talking earlier about playing the bracket things, and got a little story for you. The first bracket pool I ever participated in was in 1987, and I was actually here in Greenville as a young banker. I was in commercial lending credit school here for 13 weeks. I was living in Rock Hill at the time, and it was about 12 to 15 of us. So we did a bracket and put in some bucks and that kind of thing. And I chose to take this team from the Big East by the name of Providence with a young coach named Rick Pitino and a point guard named Billy Donovan to the Final Four. And they got to the Final Four. And Elijah, when all the Final Four was determined, I already won the pool.
Wow.
It didn't even matter. So you know what? I'm going to go deja vu, and I'm going to do it again. I've got St. John's in my Final Four.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. I mean, it's so crazy, the sentences that we say that are 40 years apart that are still true, right? I like to joke all the time that anytime the Lakers are playing that The sentence that LeBron James is playing basketball on television tonight is a true statement. It was also true when I was in the 3rd grade. I love saying stuff like that. For you, Rocky, we can say that you have picked Rick Pitino to go to the Final Four. That sentence was true today. That sentence was true, 39 years ago?
1987. I'll tell you my Final Four right now. I've got St. John's playing Houston and Arizona playing Michigan.
Okay.
That's my Final Four.
I like that.
That's what I got.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate
I'll
the
stick
call
with
always.
it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate the call as always. Rocky has some of my favorite elements here, and it's rules that I like to go by when it comes to bracket selection, which is always have at least one seed, maybe a couple of ones, but I don't completely go chalk with all ones, and I always have at least one team in the Final Four that is outside the top 3 seeds. I always like to get a sleeper in there somewhere, and Rocky satisfied that. He has 2 number 1s, so he's got the safe play with getting some of the best teams, and I think clearly Michigan and Arizona have been, along with Duke, have been the 3 best teams in college basketball all year long, and excluding Duke and fading Duke can be a good idea because no Caleb Foster, probably not going to have Patrick Ngongba. Those are 2 starters on that team that are probably going to be missing due to injury. Not a bad bet at all, and St. John's being outside the top 3 seeds would qualify as getting a sleeper into the Final Four, and if you're going to pick a sleeper, picking somebody like a Rick Pitino coach team, with a coach who has been to many of these, has taken multiple programs to a Final Four, has taken 3. If you look at Louisville, Kentucky, and Providence. And if he does it with St. John's, he'd be 4. And I don't know how many other coaches in the history of college basketball have done that, if any. So that is, I like Rocky's bracket there. So remember, submit yours before noon. That's the best time to do it. You have a few hours here. If you haven't done it already, or if a buddy of yours hasn't done it, it's a good time to nudge them. And it's also a good time to remind you, too, that if you want somewhere to watch the game, we will be at Twin Peaks today from noon to 6, today and tomorrow. I will be there a little before 3 o'clock. I'm going to hang out with Terry Ford. I'm going to be watching some basketball games, eating some delicious food, and that's the best part about a place like Twin Peaks is there. Every single game that you could think of is going to be on those televisions, and it will be running all day long, today and tomorrow. So join us there, and then I'll be coming back tomorrow, actually, whenever we get done over in Darlington, driving back, and then hanging out with Terry from noon to 3 for those games tomorrow. So if you're looking for a good place to go watch some ball, eat some wings, have a few cold, refreshing beverages, Twin Peaks is where we at the game are going to be hanging out. But I told you we're going to talk a little spring football, and because spring practice has ramped up, spring break, I believe, is over. So now you got the kids back on campus. You're getting back into it. You are fulfilling the promise of 15 practices throughout the spring, and there are a lot of changes on this team, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. You have a new offensive coordinator. You have a new running backs coach. You have a new offensive line coach. Things are going to look, sound, and feel differently this spring for the offensive side of the ball than it did last season. And that is a good thing. You're coming off of a 4-8 season. These changes were completely necessary. And we have talked ad nauseum this offseason about what we think about the changes. This is really our first opportunity to see how these changes have been applied and what has been different so far. Again, a small sample size to work with. You only have a handful of practices that these coaches have to operate on so far, and they have more later in the spring, but we have just a little bit to operate on right now in terms of looking at differences and looking at how things will feel different going into next season. Terry Ford, on yesterday's cut list, this is going to be Cut 5 from Coach Shane Beamer, talking about the newness of this offense with the coaching staff and how the players are adjusting to it. So
it's exciting, there's an energy, like I said a minute ago, out there on the practice field. Love what Kendall's brought. He's got his system, and it's new to a lot of people. There's reasons for everything. There's answers to everything. He knows what he wants it to look like. He knows what it's supposed to look like, and he's got a system to get that done, which is great. And our players have enjoyed it. It's are we a million miles an hour trying to run 200 plays a game? Not necessarily, but we're utilizing tempo, which we've done in the past. But that's been good for our defense to be able to practice against that a little bit more in practice, forcing them to get lined up, see who really knows their stuff and doesn't know their stuff. And then Kendall's just got a great, confidence and swagger, or whatever you want to call it, to himself, which I saw that when I was working for Steve Spurrier, how teams can take on the personality of their coach and just that confidence and swagger that Coach Spurrier had as a head coach here. And it's very much, I think, similar with the defense and Clayton White. And hopefully will be the same with Kendall Briles and what he's doing from an offensive standpoint. Our offense taking on his personality from a confidence, swagger standpoint.
There are three things that I took away from that I found to be really important. That's something that I think that even you as the Gamecock fan can kind of resonate with a little bit. And now we did get a call earlier in the show saying, this is helping him bring out the Dollar General brand garnet glasses and maybe putting them on a little bit, which is good. This is what you're wanting after a 4-8 season, as something to be excited about going into practices, going into another season that is vitally important for the Shane Beamer era. But the three things I took away from that is, one, Shane mentioned that he has his system. And if we're just playing semantics here, he didn't just say he has a system. He has his system, right? He has a plan, Kendall Briles does, when it comes to transforming what this offense looks like. He has a vision. There's specific things that he wants in this. And I think last season with Mike Shula, maybe there was like trying to replicate what Dow Loggins did, but with some tweaks. We talked about, Lador Sellers maybe looking more like a pocket passer. Maybe that's what they wanted him to be, was to go through all of the different reads. We have picked apart what the offensive failures were last season. A lot of them offensive line related too, and that's another reason why Lonnie Teasley was the first sacrificial lamb during the season when it came to trying to rectify your offensive woes. And with Kendall Briles, though, a guy that's coming in with a preferred system in mind, somebody that has a plan and is going to implement it, whether you like it or not, I think is a big plus for this football team. We've seen how it has been applied at another SEC school where the offense was incredibly successful. You're picking up 400-plus yards of total offense a game. You have one of the best rushing attacks in college football during that time. And I think he sees this South Carolina team and the personnel that he's got and thinks that you can do the exact same thing, especially when it comes to the prototype of quarterback, having a reliable receiver on the outside, because he had that at Arkansas with Traylon Burks too. Kendall Briles clearly has a vision, and he is going into it head first and with a confidence, at least, that is going to be needed to turn around this program. Number two, though, tempo being the tester. Now, Shane didn't explicitly say that the tempo is the tester. We did say that it's a good way to find, which players know their stuff so far, because when you're playing up tempo, you're playing fast, and you're practicing how fast you're going to be able to play. You got to be able to know everything and know it to a T, because there's less time to think. Naturally, if I handed you a test, right, and it's something that you have studied for a little bit, and I give you a time limit, right? I say you got 3 minutes to fill out this, 30-question test. There better be no guessing or second guessing. If you want to get that thing done and done correctly, you better know everything going into it. And running an up-tempo offense is kind of that same way. When you're practicing it, you're going to find out who knows the playbook better than others, because if you're doing, live scrimmages and you're trying to get on the ball fast and run the next play, if someone hasn't fully conceptualized what that next play is, they don't have a lot of time to think about it and ask or whatever it is. They have to know it. And I think that is a really good test to find out who is just further along in understanding this offense. Tempo being a really good tester so far in spring practice, I think gives the coaches a really good idea at who is capable of understanding this offense, who is most capable of running this offense. And I think it just gives the coaches more to work with. I think tempo being a really good tester of this team is a big positive. And the last thing, though, that that Shane Beamer mentioned about Kendall is that he does have a swagger to him. And he used the example of coaching under Steve Spurrier and seeing exactly how the personality of the coach can rub off on the team, and the team will ultimately reflect the personality of their head coach. I want to give credit to Andy, who called in on the AAA heating and phone lines earlier and wanted to talk kind of about an example of how that's happened here on campus. And with Don Staley and the women's basketball team, the success they've had and a string of Final Four runs, those teams have reflected Don's personality. And that's a sign of really good coaching, is when the team can adapt to that and they're able to kind of take your personality, your style of coaching, and be able to make it reflective on the playing surface. That's a sign that the coaching is working. And I think just a microcosm of that is the success, that Maddie McDaniels had this year and the growth that she's had, right? She has become a reliable point guard in year 2, playing under Coach Staley. You can even see a little bit of Coach Staley enter there in terms of being undersized, still not being afraid to get to the basket and be able to create offense. That is a player that is accepting the identity of their head coach, and it's reflecting out on the playing surface. When it comes to this football team, that's still mightily important. You got to have a lot of confidence, and I think this offense played with very little of it last year, and that's one of the reasons why you end up being 4-8. That's one of the reasons why you stall out as much as you do, is if the offense doesn't have a ton of confidence and it's not reflected in the main leader of the offense like it was in Mike Shula last year, you're not going to get great results. I think you look on the defensive side of the ball, that defense has certainly kind of adopted really the personality of Clayton White. And that's your most successful unit. It has been your most successful unit for the last few years. It has been a big strength of this football team, and that element of Clayton White, I think, is a big part as to why that happens. And if Kendall Briles can have the same effect on the offense, and you can get certain other things to go right for you, like finding a clear number one in that running back room or getting development from that offensive line, which are going to be the tasks of your two new position coaches with Coach Clem and Stan Drayton, then you're going to see an uptick in the offense. And if the defense pulls through and you're getting a similar defense like you have the last few years, then you won't experience a 4-8 season. But with the schedule that you have, all of that has to come together pretty quickly. Coming up next, though, it is March Madness. I'm wearing my Artis Gilmore jersey. We have a lot of games going on today, and we'll tell you which games Terry and I are looking forward to coming up next.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
This hour of in-show listening on 1075 The Game is sponsored by QC Kinetics in West Columbia, the non-surgical regenerative orthopedic specialists of the Midlands. Request your consultation today by dialing pound 250 and use keyword QC Kinetics.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
A bracket for a specific event may be something that's giving you a little bit of trouble. There are tough questions on there that you're going to have to try to predict. Well, if there's something else that is bothering you that is tough to predict and maybe you feel like a harder predicament to get out of, like tax issues and tax stress, John Ecton and his team at the Ecton Law Firm are here from you. Now, they're not bracketologists, or maybe they're not. I have not talked ball with John, so I can't tell you how much he can help you in that regard, but I do know the specialty is getting you out of tax issues, whether it is personal income tax issues or business tax issues. John and his team at the Ecton Law Firm understand those challenges that you or your business can face, and they are perfectly qualified to offer you one of the most important things in life, peace of mind. 803-771-9800 is the number to call for that free consultation. You can always visit them at ectonlawfirm.com. That's ECTONlawfirm.com.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
To 15-year-old Harper, buying an $80 vintage rock t-shirt is a great investment. To Harper's mom, this logic has a few holes in it. So she helped Harper open a Wells Fargo Clear Access banking account. With no overdraft fees and tools to track spending, Harper's learning, one heavy metal tee at a time. However you make money work, Wells Fargo can work with that.
Terms apply. Visit wellsfargo.com/deposit disclosures for fees and details.
Plus tax tags and title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. The all-new JT's Kia is officially open with their new state-of-the-art showroom designed to make your buying experience fast, friendly, and hassle-free. Get grand opening 0% financing for 60 months on new Kias. Put no money down and JT's million-mile warranty. Plus savings up to 10 grand off new Kias and up to 5 grand over book value for your trade. Get to JT's Kia today, I-77 at Killian Road or Greystone Boulevard. Boulevard.
Vista Roofing, your local CertainTeed Select Shingle Master. Looking for a roof that's built to last? Trust the certified experts at Vista Roofing for professional installation, top-tier materials, and peace of mind backed by industry-leading warranties. From repairs to full replacements, Vista Roofing delivers durable results and exceptional service. Call now or visit VistaRoofingINC.com to schedule your free estimate. Vista Roofing, raising the standard one shingle at a time.
Taxes was waiting on the refund you needed yesterday.
All right, your car repair is going to run about $3,000.
Now Taxes is getting back on the road with TurboTax and Credit Karma, where you can get your refund up to 5 days faster and get personalized guidance to take every dollar further. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Deposit a federal refund into Credit Karma Money account and early submission of refund data by IRS required. Terms apply. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Credit Karma is not a bank.
Forestry Commission Dispatch, what's your emergency?
I was burning some limbs and leaves in the yard, and I got a call and went inside for just a minute. When I came back out, the wind blew my fire into the woods, and now it's really taken off. It just got away.
State law requires you to notify the Forestry Commission before your outdoor burn, but you also have to take the proper precautions to keep your fire from escaping and spreading. Don't be the reason for wildfire season. Think before you burn. We are the South Carolina Forestry Commission. Sponsored by the South Carolina Forestry Commission, South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Average Owls. Our chairs sit. Our tables stand.
You're not average. Your marketing results shouldn't be either. Cumulus Digital outperforms industry benchmarks by over 25%. See what Smarter Digital can do for you at cumulusdigital.com.
It's the Game Network Traffic Report from the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Center. Broken down and need a tow or even free signage for your lot? Dial pound 250 and use keyword tow truck today.
This is a fantastic moment in traffic history. Everything's clear. We have our typical construction pops on I-20 and I-26, but no accidents, no disabled vehicles on the road, no lanes being blocked. This is a phenomenal moment. You have done fine work on the roads. Congratulate yourselves. Don't take your hand off the steering wheel to clap, but congratulate yourselves. We'll pop back here on the early game with Elijah Campbell as we talk more March Madness, more baseball. It's up next here on The Game Network, and at The Game TV radio and YouTube.
The Early Game. With former Gamecock Preston Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen. On the Game Network, 107.5 Game app, and at The Game TV radio on YouTube.
The early game, third and long hour continues because today is the start of the real NCAA tournament. Now, the women's tournament will start tomorrow, and that's when you get a lot of madness because between the men's and the women's brackets, you end up getting 32 games that are available to you from noon, and the last one tipping off usually around 10 p.m. You are consuming basketball through a fire hose. It is my favorite 2 days of the year, every single year. And all that does start today. First game is going to be at 12:15, Ohio State and TCU playing at Bon Secours Wellness Arena, which the Gamecock women's basketball team was just at a week ago for the SEC tournament. They're hosting a couple of first and second round games. The first game of the entire day will start there between Ohio State and TCU. And that is many games that we have going on today. And Terry Ford, I believe we have our own bracket challenge that fans can tap into and maybe win a little money.
That's right, sir. They're going to 1075thegame.com to register. It's sponsored by Griffin Pool and Spa.
I love the voice you did there. 1075thegame.com.
That's right. That was my announcer voice for the special contest.
I feel like it almost kind of like devolves into Harry Carey a little bit.
I'm sober. I can't be Harry Carey.
You are about 12 beers away from being Harry Carey, I will say. I think that's probably the number to set. Is to be to fully do a good Harry Carey, you need to have at least 12 beers in the old system there before you can really tap into that. And who knows, if you took the day off today and you're watching basketball all day, maybe by 7 or 8 o'clock you can channel your Harry Carey after getting the prerequisite amount needed to be able to actually do the impersonation. But Terry Ford, I'm looking at all the games today. And there are a couple of games that I think are of interesting, I guess, angles when it comes to upsets. We have a couple of good matchups, but I think the upset angle today is probably juicier than it is tomorrow, because I know my eyes on South Florida over Louisville and VCU over North Carolina, but I think Nebraska may be in a little bit of trouble too. A lot of storylines in that one.
Hey, it hurts my heart because I'm rooting for my man Fred Hoiberg, because Nebraska's never won an NCAA tournament game like ever. But they're a 4, going by bracket trends, sir, a 4 has gotten beaten a lot in the last 20 years.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a 4 to potentially fall, maybe picking on the team that has never won a game in this event ever, an event that has been played since 1939, is probably not the worst target for that. I think there's a better chance of that happening than Hawaii over Arkansas. Hofstra and Alabama is interesting. I don't think it happens, but I think Hofstra gives them a really good game. And then I don't think Cal Baptist has a shot with Kansas, because that is a program that has not played in one of these games ever in the history of this tournament. They've only been eligible to play for just a handful of years. But from an SEC angle, too, an interesting game tonight that hasn't been discussed a lot. 8-9 games are always incredibly competitive, or at least they should be on paper. They're going to be the most evenly matched first-round games that you get every single year, again, on paper. And St. Louis and Georgia is incredibly interesting to me, because St. Louis ran through the A-10, won the regular season title, got upset in the semifinals by Dayton, and Georgia is one of those teams that is hard to figure out. Now, they lead the country in dunks. They lead the country in terms of percentage of their basket that are dunks. And if you look at Georgia, which we experienced here at South Carolina, because Georgia had a lot of success of putting their hands in the rim against Carolina this year, a lot of athleticism. But if you look at Georgia as a team, what is very intriguing is that they are 27th in the country in two-point percentage, but non-dunk attempts, not great. It's almost like if they're not putting their armpits in the rim, Terry Ford, it's not working out for them offensively, and then they're kind of at the mercy of their shooters. This is one of the hardest SEC games to pick out of all the games that the SEC teams are playing in this weekend, which will be about 10 of them.
Okay, and the SEC, I mean, is Florida the only SEC team you see that has a shot to go into 4?
I would put Arkansas in there, too. I like Arkansas a lot. Now, I have them losing to Wisconsin in the second round, but that's a game that if Arkansas wins, I wouldn't be surprised at all. That's just a chance that I take in my bracket. I really like Wisconsin a lot, but I think Arkansas does have a Final Four ceiling. I think it really is. Florida and Arkansas are the two teams with legitimate Final Four capabilities. And then you have a cluster of about 8 teams that I think have maybe second weekend capabilities. Like, I look up and down this thing, I don't feel great about Texas beating BYU. They certainly can. An 11 seed that plays in the first 4 has almost always beaten a 6 seed. So Texas certainly can do it, but I love A.J. DeBonsa too much, and Texas is so inconsistent. To quote Sean Miller, they just foul the bleep out of people, and I think that trend continues. If Georgia beats St. Louis tonight, I don't think Georgia gets past, Michigan. Alabama can make the Sweet 16, but if they play Texas Tech in the second round, I don't love the matchup. I think them losing Aiden Holloway hurts a lot more than what is being discussed, because he is the second best scorer on this team from a points per game perspective, and he's one of the few guys on the team that actually is north of 40% from three-point range, and we all know how important three-point shooting is to any Nate Oates coach team. Tennessee, maybe the most infuriating team to watch in college basketball, because they're incredibly talented, but they're so sloppy with the ball that I don't trust them to get past, Virginia. And who knows? Miami, Ohio can get Tennessee if they shoot the way they did last night. And Kentucky is Kentucky. There's a good chance they don't get past the first round against Santa Clara. Texas A&M and St. Mary's, I don't love that matchup for A&M. I think St. Mary's is a lot more maybe fundamentally sound, and I think they might be able to impose what they do on Texas A&M pretty well. I think they can handle pressure because they do have a really good point guard in Mikey Lewis. That's something to watch. Vanderbilt, I expect to be in the Sweet 16, but then if they get to the Sweet 16, Terry, the unfortunate part for Vanderbilt is they have to play Florida again. I don't think they beat Florida again, especially considering how well Florida rebounded the ball the last time they played.
I like Vandy, man, but you're right. I don't see them losing to Florida again. But yeah, that's where I got them going home there too. But I wish Vandy was somewhere else in the draw.
I do too. I do too. I mean, could you have put them as the 5, like where Texas Tech is? Then you would have played Alabama in the second round. I think just because of where a lot of SEC teams are, made that maybe a little more difficult for the committee to choose. But as much as I love Vanderbilt with how they shoot the ball and how they're able to space the floor, I would have loved to see Tyler Tanner not have to play against Florida again. But if they play, if Florida and Vanderbilt play again, it'd be interesting to see how exactly Todd Golden plays that, because he straight up admitted after that game in the semifinals in Nashville that they were going to let Vanderbilt's bigs shoot and they're going to guard everything else in the paint. And that day, Vanderbilt's bigs hit a lot of threes. And that's how you grab 60+% of your missed shots in a game and still lose. And not just lose by, 16 points? I think that's a little bit of a statistical anomaly. So if they play there, I think Florida wins. But to me, it says Florida and Arkansas out of the SEC are the only 2 teams, which is different than last year, because last year you felt like there were 4 or 5 teams that had the potential to make deeper runs and be able to get into the Final Four. This year, I just think you only have 2. But coming up next, though, it's our last part of the early game third and long hour goes deep. It's the magic of March. Today, though, we're talking buzzer beaters, and we'll get to that on the other side as you're listening to the early game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
The Game phone lines at 803-404-6100. Sponsored by AAA Heating and Air. Now offering 12-month payment plans on all HVAC or electrical repairs with no credit check. Online at callAAAtoday.com.
Sponsored by SC Education Lottery. Did you know that since 2002, more than 2.8 million lottery-funded scholarships such as the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow scholarships have been awarded to South Carolina students? Playing for fun is a win for education. Visit sceducationlottery.com/educationwins for more information.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Some things are meant to be together. Perfect pairs. The combos we all know and love. Like beaches and sand in your toes. A good book and the park. Or sleepy mornings and Mickey D's. It's undeniable. My personal favorite pair to help me start the day? The toasty $2.69 sausage McMuffin with egg paired with a $2 any size iced coffee. With 20 grams of protein in one sandwich and bold coffee to power my day, there's no doubt I'd call it the perfect McDonald's match. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Running a business means wearing multiple hats. So if you're like me, you probably started out using your personal phone, taking client calls and texts nonstop. As my business grew, I needed something smarter. That's when I switched to Quo, the #1 business phone system. Quo works right on your phone or computer. No carrying 2 phones, no clunky landline, just one easy app you can try for free. Your team can share one number and handle calls and texts together like a shared inbox. Any teammate can jump into the conversation so customers get faster responses. And Quo's AI assistant summarizes your calls and responds to customers 24/7, so you never miss a lead or opportunity. All this starts at just $15 a month. That's basically 2 coffees. You can even keep your current business phone number. Find out why 90,000 businesses trust Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try Quo for free at quo.com/sports. That's quo.com/sports to try Quo free. QUO.com/SPORTS.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
Plus tax tags and title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. The all-new JT JT's Kia is officially open with their new state-of-the-art showroom designed to make your buying experience fast, friendly, and hassle-free. Get grand opening 0% financing for 60 months on new Kias. Put no money down and JT's million-mile warranty. Plus savings up to 10 grand off new Kias and up to 5 grand over book value for your trade. Get to JT's Kia today, I-77 at Killian Road or Greystone Boulevard.
At Average Amy's Coffee Corner, our coffee has caffeine, our muffins are cooked, and our services, well, we're here. Come on by for an average cup of joe.
Average doesn't build great businesses. Cumulus Digital does, outperforming industry benchmarks by more than 25%. We deliver smarter digital marketing to over 4,000 local businesses every month and drive real, measurable growth. You're not average. Your marketing results shouldn't be either. Visit cumulusdigital.com to start outperforming today.
Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
It's the Game Network Traffic Report from the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Center. Broken down and need a tow or even free signage for your lot? Dial pound 250 and use keyword tow truck today.
Knocked on wood. We do have a traffic update. Thanks to Jen Jensen in the 107.5 The Game Traffic Copter. On 277, about 1 mile before I-20 East, stay left due to an accident. Again, 277, about 1 mile before I-20 East, stay left due to an accident. I want to thank Jen very much for that. Pop back in here on the early game with Elijah as we talk more March Madness, spring practice, and baseball on the Game.
The early game with former Gamecock Preston Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network, 107.5 Game app, and at the Game TV radio on YouTube.
Before the early game third and long hour goes deep for the second to last time this week when it comes to the magic of March as we're getting into this tournament, I will go up to the Firehouse Subs text line because Sammy made his picks. Sammy says Kansas and Florida and Arkansas, Iowa State with the Razorbacks winning it all. That'd be fun. What I responded to Sammy on the Firehouse Subs text line was certainly if I can watch an Arkansas-Iowa State Final Four matchup, good for my soul. Darius Acuff, one of the best players in college basketball, one of the most fun watches in college basketball. Iowa State, certainly a team that is one of the best defenses in the country, and if I could build a team just out of my image, how I would build a college basketball team, it would look just like Iowa State. If only a couple of those players are better free throw shooters. Their only flaw is that they are a terrible free throw shooting team. If they get in a close game, it scares me a little bit. But they have a big who can pass the ball really well in Joshua Jefferson. They have the best three-point shooter in the sport in Milan Momcilovic, who was over 50% at times this year. And they've got a reliable, trusty point guard in Taman Lipsey. And Killian Torres, maybe the best defender in college basketball that you haven't heard about yet. I would love that matchup. That would be fantastic. Sammy, it's not what I have in my bracket, but I would be cool to see that in the Final Four and see those teams get to face off. But for the early game, third and long hour goes deep. Part 4 today is the art of the buzzer beater, right? A couple things we have to establish, though. What are we considering buzzer beaters? Are we considering them shots that are hit with a couple seconds left? Because it technically beats a buzzer, but if you want to play semantics, technically every shot before a buzzer is technically a buzzer beater. But I like to narrow it down to a shot where the ball is in the air or going through the hoop as time expires, as the backboard lights up. And we've seen so many of these in March. Some of the more memorable ones, like Bryce Drew at Valpo when they upset Ole Miss, hitting a shot at the buzzer. Northern Iowa with maybe the most impressive one for me, hitting a half-court buzzer beater to beat Texas in 2016. I believe that was the year where they hit a half-court buzzer beater. And then you have a couple of the ones that won championships. And we have good examples on the men's and women's side. I think on the men's side, clearly, Chris Jenkins hitting the buzzer beater against North Carolina was one of the most memorable events in the history of the sport. And on the women's side, too, Erica Ogbenwale for Notre Dame hitting that buzzer beater to win a national title against Mississippi State is certainly one of the most memorable, especially considering she went back-to-back because she hit a shot with a couple seconds left to beat UConn. So technically it doesn't count to me as a buzzer beater in the sense in which I want to narrow it down. However, it was pretty significant, won them the game, was a game-winning shot. She had a true buzzer beater to win the national title against Mississippi State. Those two are the best to me because they win national championships. I think you could also consider Lorenzo Charles catching, an air ball to get a putback dunk at the buzzer to win, to be up in that pantheon too from the 1983 championship game, which I think is maybe the greatest air ball in the history of college basketball. But when you look at this too, what makes this so magical is the excitement and the rush of what happens in the lead up to it. It's maybe one of the few times in our lives where the last a 5-second stretch can feel like a little mini eternity. And it's what really adds such a great element to this particular event. We see great sporting events that end in exciting ways all the time. And if I want to do a football example, the game-winning field goal as time expires is always really exciting. It's dramatic. A walk-off home run in baseball is exciting and dramatic. But basketball's one it's maybe a little different, right? Because you have so many more possessions. Like in baseball, not a timed sport, you can sense the situation arising, and you can clock it from a couple batters away. In football, so many teams ice the kicker now before a potential game-winning field goal that there's time to sit and let the moment sit for a little bit where you are anticipating the final kick happening and anticipating that moment. We all know what is about to happen. But for me, when I think about this and what makes maybe a buzzer beater in college basketball, specifically in an NCAA tournament where it is a win or go home game, how these things materialize is a lot more different and a lot more spontaneous. You kind of get a feel in a game where it's back and forth that it can maybe come down to the final shot. But when you see things kind of unfold in real time with a lot of different things that have to go right for a certain team to be able to, A, get the shot they want, and B, have the shot go in, to me makes that maybe a little more different. Now, like in football, there are a couple other examples too, like the kick six between Auburn and Alabama is one of those most memorable finishes to a game because you're not anticipating that game-winning field goal attempt to be returned for a touchdown, which is why, to me, that is separated amongst any other finish in the history of sports because of its sheer improbability. But in basketball, specifically the NCAA tournament, you have the natural storylines that go into this event that make it really special. And then when you see something that happens, especially when it happens when a team doesn't call a timeout and they have to get the ball in quick and they have to just find any way to be able to get whatever shot it is, it materializes so much faster, sometimes before you have a chance to even process what's going on, right? I think that's one of the most impressive parts about this is that before you're able to fully process what you just watched, there is a magic to it. And I think that Villanova shot with Chris Jenkins to beat North Carolina in a national championship game is one of the perfect examples of that. Because of that shot, you're not going to remember the shot Marcus Page hit just 4 game seconds before that, where he pump fakes in the air, he jumps, has to pump fake, and before he hits the ground has to kind of like double pump and then just throw up a prayer and it goes in. It would be considered one of the greatest shots in the history of basketball if it wasn't for what transpired 4.7 seconds later. Now we're at the 10-year anniversary, which it feels wild that 10 years has passed since that play. But the one thing that this event brings every year when it comes to the NCAA tournament, men's and women's both, they both share this thing, right, is that the buzzer beater being the most exciting way to finish a sporting event exists, and you see them almost more because of all the stakes that are on the line. And to me, one of my favorite parts about it, I love upsets. I love watching great teams make great runs. I love seeing the awesome storylines that pop up in this thing every year of schools that rely on this tournament to be able to bring them the most money they could possibly get as an athletic department. And there's a lot at stake. Those things are awesome. But maybe my favorite part is seeing a buzzer beater in games of this magnitude and how they unfold, to me, separates it maybe from any other sporting event. And to me, nothing beats the buzzer beater. 803-404-6100. That is the Firehouse Subs text line where you can text in to weigh in, because I'm curious what you think is the best way to end a sporting event. It could be overtime goal in hockey, which is certainly up there, walk-off homers in baseball, game-winning field goal in football as time expired. There's so many different things. To me, I will always, however, choose the buzzer beater and the drama that unfolds in those final seconds. And to me, that's what makes this whole thing so much fun. Usually, if you hit a buzzer beater, that means you're a winner, and we'll give you our winners for today's show, brought to you by the Golden Spur, coming up next to round out today's edition of the Early Game.
Wow, what a play! The Game Network, Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Friday, April 3rd, the Spring Golf Classic at Charwood in West Columbia with our buddies Rock and Daniel Lucas. And we have Saki's Morning Libations Bar before tee-off. Also, the classic onion sausage presented by the Lexington Gamecock Club. Yeah, I know you're going to ask. We have the golf gun. All that Friday, April 3rd. Again, $400 a team, $100 for an individual. 803-755-2000 and press number 2. April 3rd, it's the Spring Golf Classic from the Game.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
A massive no-go for Jack Hughes in Toronto. The Hockey Hall of Fame has officially denied the Devils star's request to reclaim his Olympic golden goal puck. Hughes voiced his frustration this week, calling it BS that the puck isn't in his possession, as he hoped to gift the historic keepsake to his father, Jim. But the Hall is standing firm, stating the puck was a formal donation from the IIHF. I'm Drake Toll.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
DQ presents the Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy, bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ soft serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into soft serve, plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Spicy Menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy, tastes good. Participation may vary.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-506-5803. 800-506-5803. Don't wait. Call now. 800-506-5803. 800-506-5803.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
You know that Chick-fil-A sells more than chicken, right?
Hello, my name is Jaleesa, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit is how it's all of my favorite breakfast items in one good bite. That fluffy egg, that melty cheese with that perfectly grilled sausage. It just gives you that warmth, that comfort food that you love. It is the best possible option for a classic breakfast.
Comfort is calling. Order a Chick-fil-A sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit with Simply Orange Juice on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonial.
America, look around. Everywhere you go, prices are still high, rates have been whipsawing markets, and the debt and spending don't exactly scream stability. Experts say diversifying with intention is the #1 secret account that all American smart money uses to hedge against instability. Monetary Gold has been around since 2000, witnessing multiple economic setbacks. If you call now, Monetary Gold will cover up to a lifetime of your IRA fees on qualified accounts. Call Monetary Gold now at 877-NOW-GOLD. That's 877-NOW-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
The Early Game with former Gamecock Preston Thorne. Elijah Campbell and Jen Jensen. On the Game Network, 107.5 Game app, and the Game TV radio on YouTube.
Than it is about the team. Cannot play with them. Cannot win with them. Cannot coach with them. Can't do it. I want winners. Winners.
Today, we give you our winners for the day show, brought to you by the Golden Spur. And there are so many places we can go with this. I think the first winner of today's show, I want to give to buzzer beaters. It's the greatest way to win a game. It is the worst way to lose a game. This Curtis chimed in on the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100. Says, I totally relate, or he goes, if it's my team, I was reading my text back to him. He said, Curtis says, if it's my team, the Gamecocks, I don't want a buzzer beater. I don't want it to be close because usually my heart can't take it. If it's another team that I'm rooting for buzzer beaters, really cool. And if I have no vested interest, I would love to see it. And then I just responded that I can relate to that solely because losing in that manner is the absolute worst. Whether as a player or somebody who's a fan of a team, if you lose because somebody banks in a 50-footer, it's the worst feeling in the world. You feel physically ill. And I have been in that position too many times. I feel like playing, I was never on the right end of it. We were never on the right end of those. We always lost at the last second. I'm telling you, it's not a ton of fun. Rocky in Greenville on the Firehouse Subs text line says buzzer beaters, best way to end a game by far. Ty on the Firehouse Subs text line says a good unexpected knockout in any combat sport. I could definitely see that. That one in terms of like things happening so fast that you don't get to process them. That may be number one on that list because those are so sudden. That and maybe the overtime goal in hockey too to win a game. Certain like sudden death or sudden knockout like that certainly happens so fast that you just can't process exactly what happened until, you know, a little bit of time after the event is fully over. And I think that makes things a lot different. And because it's the first round starting today in the NCAA tournament, March Madness in full effect, winners, reminder, that's a winner. The reminders are winners because if you haven't submitted your bracket yet, this has been kind of my big PSA all day. The same way that Preston and I would say run the play on Valentine's Day as like our PSA of the day. My PSA of the day is get your brackets in before noon. So many people that I know have always waited a little too late. And by the time that first game tips off, it is over. So go ahead and whatever bracket pool you're in, if you're hosting it or if you are joining one, make sure you get all that in and submitted before noon today. So reminders are winners. Also, underdogs, winners. Now, in the first round, I like to usually pick one or two double-digit seeds to win their first round game. Last year, I got a little crazy with it because I just loved so many of the lower-seeded teams in the event. This year, I didn't go as crazy, played it a little bit safer, but the two that are playing today that I really like are both 11 seeds. South Florida over Louisville, VCU over North Carolina. I really like those matchups. I love those two teams. South Florida, incredibly aggressive, very athletic, great offensive rebounding team, great at getting to the free throw line, and they shoot a lot of threes. Now, they don't make an incredibly high volume of them, but when you're a good offensive rebounding team and you shoot a lot of them, I think you really up your margin for error. You can survive those games. And with Louisville not having Michael Brown Jr., I think that makes that game even closer. And VCU, also great three-point shooting mid-major, very athletic. Phil Martelli Jr., maybe one of the coaches on the rise in college basketball. He has a perfect opportunity today in Greenville to be able to get his name even further along on the map. Upsets, always a winner in the NCAA tournament. For today's games, that's definitely one, or two actually, that I have in mind. Terry Ford, I want to get your take on this too. Do you think either of those happened today?
My run those by me again?
This is VCU in South Florida, the two 11s playing sixes today.
Yep, I think both happened today. Louisville doesn't have their point guard Brown. I think that will hurt them greatly against South Florida, and I think VCU wins. Yes.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about both of those. Now, were you bold enough to take Troy over Nebraska?
In my real bracket, like for money, no. But in my trends bracket that I'm doing on the air, later today. Yes, because a 4 has to lose to a 13. That's the way the trends typically work.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. There's only 2 4s I think have even a chance to lose. One is Nebraska, and the other is Alabama without Holloway. I just don't think Hofstra can beat Bama. I think that's not the matchup.
Yeah, probably not the matchup. Hofstra's got a lot of things that I like, which is a style of play, and I love Speedy Claxton. And if I can just say Speedy Claxton's name on air, I'm going to do it. But they also, when you look at postseason awards, I want to say they had the CAA Player of the Year, the Sixth Man, and Defensive Player of the Year. When you rack up a lot of your conference's awards for individual players, it makes me feel good about you. However, I think Alabama's got too much, even without Holloway, to get past that game. They don't get by Akron, though.
No, they don't. That's where their season ends.
And every year I pick a double-digit seed to make the Sweet 16. This year it's Akron.
Yeah, buddy, I'm with you on that.
I'm here for the Zesty Zips. Zips, definitely a winner. Also, winners, former players coaching in this year's NCAA tournament. Terry Ford, we have a lot of them in this year's tournament. Clearly, John Shire at Duke won a national championship as a player. His teammate on that team, Nolan Smith, has taken Tennessee State to their first tournament since 1994. If you ever play the guys naming dudes game of just random good college basketball players that didn't become NBA stars, Jerry McNamara would always be high on that list for me. He is the head coach at Siena, who's playing John Shire and Duke today. And then Rod Strickland coaching at LIU. He's taken them to the NCAA tournament where they're going to be Arizona's sacrificial lamb. This weekend, I don't think they play today. I think they play tomorrow, where he's going to be the sacrificial lamb for Tommy Lloyd and Arizona. And then lastly, I forgot who it was. I had the graphic in my head. There was one more there, but there are a lot of former college stars and a couple of NBA guys. Rod Strickland, clearly an NBA guy. And the Speedy Claxton, of course, was the last one over at Hofstra. Winners, former players that have taken their programs to the NCAA tournament. More impressive for the mid-major guys with lesser resources to be able to get into this great tournament. Now, coming up next is going to be Tyler Head, Jack Feltry. They're going to talk a little bit of madness. They're winners, and they're coming up next.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
Sponsored by Odoo.com. All your business apps in one place. Your business deserves tools to make you feel in control, not overwhelmed. With Odoo's all-in-one, easy-to-use platform, everything is together so you can focus on what matters. Start at Odoo.com today. That's ODOO.com.
Plus text